Welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Sitch, and I was gonna say, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm your host, Sitch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody, hit that like and subscribe. You know I do it for you, and let's party. We actually have quite a special party today because it is Morty. If you're not familiar, Morty, come here. Give me a high five. This is Morty, my 14-year-old dog. He turned 14 today, so I use a lot of peanut butter, and this is the remains. And because you guys are always, every super chat, every donation comes with a treat for Morty. So for his birthday, without anything for you guys, my man, let's go this side. All right, enjoy. All right. Welcome to the party. We got Cerberus in the building. Welcome. Before we start, let's also say thank you to mysixshirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at mysixshirt.com. All right. Let's get on into it. So, you guys know that I'm a huge fan of Tim Pool, Timcast, Culture War, all that stuff. Don't worry, we're not covering it again today, but we are going to be covering something similar. Come on. Ian Crossland, I think it was last week, or no, it was last month. Ian Crossland actually went on the Sitch and Adam Show. And I've been waiting to watch that just for, I've had a lot going on. But I finally actually did check it out, and it was a really good conversation. And as somebody who really appreciates what Ian's role in the Timcast IRL show actually is, I would love to be able to take this conversation and show really why I feel that way. And maybe, hopefully, as you guys continue to watch Timcast, instead of just being super annoyed at everything he says, maybe you can give him them rolling 20s, as they say on the show, a reference to Dungeons and Dragons, that Ian always does. Welcome, Guam Tech. Good to see ya, brother. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
An hour or so. Let's get into it.
Hey now, it's your boy PSA Sitch here with another Tuesday stream with everyone's favorite, the world's greatest artist. None can compare.
Wow. I like this. This
Adam
should be my
Friend.
standard intro here. I like this. This is the new intro. And we're
Yeah.
here, obviously, with a very special guest, Ian Crossland. How you doing,
Talking
Ian?
about me. I'm great, but I thought you were Stitch. I thought you were talking about me there.
No,
Right off the top, just like the best musician ever, but not you, Ian. And as it says, guitar player in his little bio there.
well, first of all, Sitch. That's why I wasn't talking. But no, Adam gets to steal the moniker. Though I was saying it kind of ironically. So
But
Hey, am I on video, by the way? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
you
You
are.
are.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I hope
Yeah.
you wanted to be. I hope there wasn't.
You want to be, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Look, I'll be on. I'll turn my video on too. So I was telling Ian before we started that this is going to be a very hardball interview. So to expect
Mhm.
to expect
Hardest of balls.
tough
Yes.
questioning here. So I'll go first. I know Sitch has a question as well, but
Uh-huh.
I'll start off. Ian, why does Tim Pool always make you sit behind the flying saucer? That's what I want to know.
Hey, he's the UFO guy. He's been the UFO guy. No, it's not making him do anything. He loves it. Guam Texas, Ian may be a little annoying, but I think he's pretty lovable. I feel like he'd be the one I get along with most from Timcast, other than Brett. Oh, you actually know Brett. That's really cool. I agree because I think in terms of like personally, I would obviously think that I think in the same type of way as Tim, but I feel like he and I would butt heads a lot because even though we think a lot of the same things, then no matter how much in common you have with somebody when you're a friend to them, then you're going to find stuff and we wouldn't budge. Whereas I think Ian is just all around nice dude. And not in the way that he's a people pleaser, but that he's genuinely a kind individual. If you're just joining us, yes, it is Morty's birthday. So no super chats necessary. I mean, please, if you would like. But it is his 14th birthday. So he is sticking his head deep into the peanut butter. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest values that Ian brings to Timcast IRL, and they've said as much, is that he is the one that's least in the weeds. And so even if he's not the average person, he represents the out of the epistemic bubble, that mentality. And so I think it's great that he adds that. Cerber says he sits there because he is Adam's replacement, the original spin the UFO guy. Yep, remember the old days,
Because when Tim thinks of me as crazy. He thinks of me as like
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, like a psychonaut. He's like, well, I guess of all my friends, he's the psychonautist one.
Wow.
So he'll be the UFO guy.
He's trying to dismiss your credibility. I can't believe it. Wow.
But I like that thing. I would keep it if anyone tried to take it away from me, I'd make a frown face.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I do want to hear what you guys think about this poll as more people are rolling in. But remind me to, I forgot what I was going to say.
So my question is a very important question. Okay, it's why do so many Nazis love your show?
Oh, I can answer that.
Okay.
So again, if you're not familiar, they're asking, why do so many Nazis like your show? Because when Actual Justice Warrior and Emma Vigilant were on the Culture War, she straight up just asked him that as if it was a legitimate question.
If it's true, I don't know if it's actually true, but I think there was a claim.
Yeah.
Why do so many neo-Nazis watch? Is like Emma Vigilant maybe said something about
Yes,
that.
maybe.
I think what's happening is if young people are being radicalized or have been radicalized or might be radicalized in the future, they'll look for like the Timcast IRL is a kind of show where you can we talk about
Play with those
topics
ideas.
that can radicalize people, but we do it in a way that de-radicalizes because we'll look at both sides of it.
That's a very interesting, an interesting way to look. It's such a silly question. Shout out to Daniel Cabrera. So it's the same. He finished the peanut butter in that one from last night. I had another thing of peanut butter that I'm currently using. I threw some extra in there for his birthday. Welcome to the Morty turns 14 birthday party. Welcome.
So people that maybe are going to go off the deep end can maybe drawn to a show like that and listen. And then I think a lot of times they find their way back to normalcy and are able to like, okay, I'm not crazy. Yes, kindness is the most important thing. Hate is not the way forward.
Wow,
See,
I love this answer.
This is why people like you, Ian, because I gave you a joke troll question and you answered it with honest sincerity.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And that's a larger, broader thing about Ian is that he's not worried about playing to the audience. He's Ian. He's going to be who he is. And we were just talking about this yesterday with the false Peter Boghossian stream at 1 p.m. when I thought he was going to be here. And I was talking about that the woman who was playing the street epistemology and just everything that came up. She was just like, I don't know. And it was refreshing that somebody who doesn't know actually admits that they don't know. Guamtag says, good that Emma Vigilant moment blew. That Emma Vigilant movement blew me away. Watched it live, and all I could do was laugh uncomfortably. I knew Tim was gonna blow. Yep. Shout out to Melted Mind Media. Welcome to the party. Just did an awesome collab with him. Another awesome YouTuber. Just dropped the link to his channel. Please go check that out. Welcome.
Totally.
Yeah, dude.
We want to talk a little bit about that because honestly, and I like your answer and I agree. We're constantly being charged with that kind of thing, obviously. Just I think because it's an effective move politically to say, really despicable people watch your show, and why is that?
Well, it's the guilt by association. It's the guilt by association. So the fact that you say something that happens to be true and a neo-Nazi or whatever also believes in that true fact has no correlation as to what your beliefs and your message and all of that stuff is just based on that. Now, if your entire audience is neo-Nazis, okay, we might have a conversation there. But that's just a non-starter and it's an emotional argument.
I mean, we're trying to persuade people here. So if we can't get those people to even watch our show, how are we supposed to persuade them not to be insane, right? Bingo. So they kind of put you in a weird situation where you're like, well, obviously I don't want a bunch of white nationalists running around the U.S. Right. So if if they're watching our show and they become more moderate from watching our show.
Hey, shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. So greetings all. Can we all congratulate Leah on her first day at a new school? Shout out. So we've got so much to celebrate. Not only is it Morty's birthday, but Leah starts her first day at a new school. Awesome. Welcome to the party, Indie Film. Good to see you, brother.
Or see the flaws in their own argument. I mean, that's a good thing, right? That we should be striving for that.
100%. And it's possible that we've already circumvented a civil war or circumvented World War III just by having the communication. It was like a big part of the ethos of Minds, which I co-founded with Bill Ottman in like 2011, 2012 kind of was when we really got it rolling. And it was like, censorship, unjust censorship drives people to radicalization. If they're not allowed to speak, then they scream. I think Vivek Ramaswamy was saying this.
If they're not allowed to speak, they will scream. And then coming from Vivek, I'm with it.
If they can't speak, then they scream. And if they can't scream, then they mobilize. So you got to let people communicate horrible thoughts in order to realize how horrible they are and get past them. I mean, I had that experience in my life, just my personal life with my girlfriend or like friends. If I'm feeling upset and we don't talk it out, that shit stays for, and it doesn't even it's not going to go away until you are able to, override it and communicate.
Real quick, how's the volume on this video?
Well, you have to deal with it.
First of all, Adam, you spelled guitar wrong.
Did I?
How you titled? You put gritar.
Oh, yeah.
Gritar.
That's in my Twitter profile. I play the guitar.
Is it really?
Wait, did you just copy?
Okay. It says it in his Twitter profile, so he just copy and paste it. I thought they both made the same mistake. That would be weird.
Okay, so I got it right. Look, Sitch. That's not a typo. Fuck off already.
Okay. So here's the question I have, because I used to have a feeling where I was pretty much like, sunlight's the best disinfectant. Let all the bigots and the crazy people, let them all be seen.
There you go.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm starting to move a little bit away from that position into the position that I think I don't know if I have a problem with like Twitter and YouTube banning just overt open racism. And I think that should include overt racism against white people, which it often doesn't include.
I think what you're talking about is an interesting conversation, because censorship on its face isn't evil. It's necessary. Without any censorship, you have madness, chaos, and that leads to absolute dissolution of organization.
That's absolutely true. We like to talk about free speech as a concept, and absolutely we do want free speech, but we don't want, things like inciting violence, doxing people, and showing weird stuff to children. That technically would fall under free speech, but that is a type of censorship that we like.
So you need just censorship. I don't know. Now, when it comes to racism, that's a question of it's legal to be racist. There are there are legal forms of racism in the United States. So, but then it's YouTube's a private company, so it doesn't have to adhere to US law if it doesn't want to, which that's another conversation. Should it have to, since it functions so heavily in the commons, adhere to US law? Minds is of the stance that it's a US law based. If it's illegal in the United States, then it is illegal on Minds. But if it's legal in the United States, then it's legal on Minds.
Based. And that is exactly how these online platforms should exist by law. It's great that Minds decides to just go by the law, but this is what Section 230 is about. That in the same way that you can sue the New York Times for an article that one of their writers or their authors or journalists, whatever you want to call them, wrote, because it's under their header. On social media, Twitter is protected if you tweet something illegal, but because they are protected, then they shouldn't have the right to squash your free speech, because that should be unused. So then if you do something illegal, now you're on the hook. And they should just be the platform and not a publisher.
Do you mean when you say they don't have to adhere to U.S. law, do you mean in terms of they don't have to adhere to law that the government that applies to the government? Or do you
That's what I meant.
Okay. Right.
No. I meant. Thanks for clarifying. I didn't mean it so vaguely. I mean they don't have to. They can ban things that aren't illegal in the United States.
Yeah. Right.
Is what I mean.
Right. Gotcha.
they're not like bound to leave things on their platform. Like the US
Right.
can't arrest you for being racist on the street,
Right.
but unless you violate some sort of law. And when it comes to like, is it wise to censor that stuff off the internet? I don't know, man. I tend to be like, let people speak, and the best ideas rise to the top. But there is an argument that like bad ideas get traction and then brainwash people into becoming bad ideas.
That's true. But banning it off of one platform doesn't change that. All it does is send it to another platform where all the people who are thinking like that can coalesce and become more polarized and more extreme. So I understand that we don't want the bad ideas to spread. We don't want bad ideas to spread. That's something we can pretty, just standardly say, we don't want that. But at what cost? Or where do we draw that line? And I mean, while, we say that there is good censorship, there's types of censorship that is good, it should be very minimal. And certainly the social media companies are abusing that.
At people. Right. I just don't think centralized authority is the best place to make that decision, like a YouTube administration, like a central government. Because it's too much in the hands of a small group of people to decide what stays and what goes. And that's not really the ethos of the United States, where these companies came from.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big promise, because we've all lost faith, I mean, rightfully so, in YouTube and a lot of these other organizations to properly censor things in a way that's not over the top or not adhering to kind of like a overly politically correct, framework. Because like I feel like if in the 90s or the 2000s, people had more confidence in even obviously YouTube wasn't around in the 90s, but had more confidence in these institutions' ability to kind of like censor overt racism without, while still protecting, free speech and ideas that, politically sensitive people might find offensive. So
yeah, I mean, even if you think about movies and TV and stuff, because that was pretty much, there's radio, music, TV. I mean, email was around in the late 90s, but it wasn't really a thing like that. And so it definitely was to an exponential degree easier to control, just because there's so much less content. And then they had a level of control, with the FCC and what you're allowed to say on TV, which is different than what you're allowed to say just in free speech. So I think that made it a little bit easier to do that. But because it was easier, there was no strong push to make sure that all the right ideas are there and all the bad ideas are gone, because they were already controlling it anyway. Daniel says, so what he's saying is we should never have fought to end slavery. What? I don't think that's what he's saying.
So, but I guess to me, it would really depend on the outcome. And I don't know if this has ever been studied. I'm sure someone studied somewhere. Would be like, does allowing overt racism on these platforms, does that actually help? Does that make people more racist at the end of the day? Or does that actually help kind of get rid of those ideas?
I think
I would say
Bill Ottman would be a fantastic guest on your show.
Mm-hmm.
He's the CEO of Minds, and this is his life, is what he deals with, studies that look at, does it radicalize, does it de-radicalize, allowing bad ideas, forcing good ideas. And he could probably answer that question.
Interesting. So before we move on, let's deal with this poll here we've got running. So just a blanket, do you like Ian Crossland? Replay gang, let me know in the comments below. The options are yes, no, or I don't watch or listen to Timcast IRL. So if you are familiar with Timcast IRL, then don't do the cop out. Well, I kind of like him, and sometimes, and by saying you don't know or you don't know. Yes or no. If you had to pick, pew pew to your head, yes or no, do you like Ian Crossland? We are now ending at 62% yes for Ian. And I'm right there with you guys. So we had, a quarter of you don't watch. Only 12% said no. So that's a little bit surprising because of how much hate he really does get. But it's a little less surprising because over here, I would expect us to be, just to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. I would expect us to more easily see the value in a somebody saying something that we might not necessarily agree with, or might be, kind of out of the box or something. So shout out to us. Before I was going to say something about another poll that I was going to do after, but I forgot.
Do you have
I'll put you in touch with him.
Okay,
Nice,
cool.
thank
Do you have an opinion on the social contagion argument for the trans debate that's going around?
It definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
The social
social
contagion.
contagion's legit for good
Mm.
and evil. Like you can put out good ideas and they will contagiously infect other people
Oh.
with good ideas and vice versa.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's just what social contagion means. I thought he was going to say, well, the social contagion with the trans stuff could be good and it could be bad. In general, yes, we obviously want to influence people and act out certain behaviors and morals and stuff that shape our society and our morals and our norms. And so yeah, definitely can be good or bad. Shout out to Ashit Patel, MD. Welcome to the party. Said, I like this Ian guy. He has nice hair. Indeed, he does. Welcome to the party.
And whether or not, but trans is good or bad, I'm not making a claim about that.
Is it better than mine
but
though,
I think
Doc?
young kids that are buried in machines
Wait a minute.
and detached from like socialization can be programmed by the machine and by the noises coming out of the machine and the visuals coming out of the machine. And if someone's telling them like that they are something, or that it's okay to be that, if you think you might be, then maybe you are. Like I could see how that could change someone to start to think that they are.
Yeah.
For whatever it is, including transgenderism or healthy. You could convince someone that they're healthy from a young age, and convince them that they're very intelligent. They'll probably become more intelligent.
Yeah, I read about social contagion long before the trans stuff really became a prominent issue. So it seems obvious to me that there is a social contagion component to this, but a lot of people just slap that away as if it's not real.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's just one excuse, or that's just one example. It doesn't matter that 20% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ. No, it's just something that happened. It's like that left-handedness chart.
There's kind of a compounding effect because on the internet, you can find what you look for. Back in the day, you just kind of saw what came at you. I mean, you could go to a library, you could rent a movie, but like the only movies that were out are the ones that were chosen to be put out in your face. And the only books at the library, there were only like 10,000, 20,000 books in the library. Now, any kind of information, even if it's wrong, you can find it almost. So that compounds, like, I think this might be me. I want to look for it now and I see it. So now I know it's reinforcing.
Yeah, exactly, Quamtech. This is exactly what they say. This isn't happening. And even if it is, it's a good thing. Like, no, it's not. That's what we're arguing about.
Yeah.
It's concerning, man. I'm very concerned because algorithms and artificial intelligence and centralized authority that have a desire to make people a certain way, social crafting.
Right. Well, that actually brings up another point about social the social contagion, and then the narrow nature of what you could find just from TV and movies and radio. It's now kind of coming full circle in the sense that in the same way that all the media companies kind of conglomerated into 2 or 3 companies. Now all the content that you see really comes from a maybe not 2 or 3, but a very select handful of approved sources. And so it seems like we're kind of going through a cycle of decentralizing and then really re-centralizing and then re-decentralizing. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's happening somewhat in these authoritarian regimes like China and Russia, where they are basically engaging in those kind of social experiments. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if that sort of authoritarian regime can survive. I think
it cannot.
In our current politics, the reason why these open societies, these liberal democracies tend to outcompete authoritarian regimes is because we have an innovation cycle that creates new technologies that just completely outpace these other nations. But nations like China and Russia, they're basically stealing our technology. So our people are creating the innovation, and then they're taking advantage of it to subjugate their people.
Exactly. And Daniel's spot on. It's not like the self-deletion rates in children have gone up exponentially in the last 10 to 15 years. Yeah, that would be crazy if that happened. If that happened, then we would definitely be on top of it, right? Shout out to Nick. Welcome to the party. Said, let's party, bro. I am right there with you. Cheers to the party. Let's hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm glad you are here, brother. Glad you're here.
But if America, and it looks like we might be going this way because of the, I don't know if you read about the chip thing where we're cutting China off from our high-end chips because we're worried about them getting some sort of AI advantage over us.
I did not hear about that. You guys hear about that?
But if we cut them off from our technology, I think they will have a tough time creating new technology of their own.
Yeah, probably. And even then, the U.S. government really is piggybacking off of the innovation of the U.S. citizenry, which is the government. The government's is an extension of the people
course.
in the United States. And like the reason, like if the U.S. government, if we just were like the U.S. government is us, the government's everything, the government's the answer. Like, did you guys see how the U.S. government military .mil we're sending all these emails, but to .ml, which is Mali. So they're all these people in the Pentagon are emailing sensitive data to Mali.
What is Mali?
Instead of military.
Oh,
and
my
it's like
God.
they didn't
What
catch
is
it
Mali?
because it's like this centralized system. There's no like broad force of innovation to catch that shit before it goes
Wow.
down.
Shout out to Jamal Suggs. Welcome to the party. Jamal says this old boy saying being socially liberal equals being technically advanced. Not necessarily. I don't think necessarily, but I think maybe. But let's not confuse social being socially liberal as an automatic bad thing that's associated with far left wokeist ideology. Being socially liberal, especially if you're talking to Ian, to him liberty liberal just means liberty. So I guess that would be correct. But I wouldn't put it in that way, like as we say somebody is socially liberal in today's terms. But interesting catch. I didn't hear that. Welcome to the party, Jamal. Nick says, no, I'm clueless, but what's new? Just hanging out, brother. Cerberus says, I wondered if he's talking about intellectual property rights. Never heard the phrase he said. I think he's kind of talking in that arena. So let's dive in and see what he's got. Let's read that a little bit.
Oh,
And
my
it's like
God.
they didn't catch it because it's like this centralized system. There's no like broad force of innovation to catch that shit before it goes
Wow.
down. And that kind of thing will lead to the destruction.
Oh, the
of
country. Shout out to M169, the sponsor of last night's stream. Was it I don't remember, but the last stream that we did. Thank you, and welcome to the party. Mali, the country. I was just like, I thought it was a company or like I don't know. Thank you for clearing that up, and welcome to the party.
system if it's not able to police itself properly. And we need that's why we need everyone. That's why we need like crowdsourced like administration, I think, and censorship type behavior. Because that censoring those emails would have caught that mistake if they'd been, but they were just letting people email from the Google accounts, not really overlooking it.
Stupid.
Like Hillary?
You
Lock
got
up!
in a recent kind of back and forth on Timcast where, and I was super surprised to see this because it seems kind of not, I mean, I was surprised to see you speak up on this because it doesn't really seem like something you would speak up on, but not because it's good or bad or anything, but you seem to take a position that was somewhat conservative about our institutions suffering from some kind
Ideological
of decay
capture. Yeah.
from the basic political back and forth stuff that was going on, and you really
Ideological capture. That is what he is talking about. Daniel says, don't lie. You thought it was the drug. No, I actually didn't because, he was saying military. So .mil. So I'm thinking like MLLY or MLI or like what. And so I just obviously MALI. But thank you for assuming my stupidity.
Stupid.
Yes, it does. Thank you, M96.
stepped up for preserving those institutions and being cautious about degrading the institutions. Do you remember this exchange?
Well,
Stay
I
rolling
know that
20s. Stay rolling 20s, right, Jamal? All day. All day. Hey, we got Amanda, meme maker, Mole Witch in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. And it is indeed an extra special party because it is Morty's 14th birthday party. Yeah, I think he finished it already, but I gave him a whole giant thing of peanut butter. Check that out after the stream. You will love it.
that particularly the specific day, and I'm not exactly sure the moment that you're talking about. You might be able to refresh my mind, but I used to be pretty radical about change and governmental change. And like, I would think like in 2008, I would even make YouTube. There's probably YouTube videos up still of me saying this stuff. Like, we need to get rid of the House of Representatives because it's ineffective. They can't properly represent. I do believe it's ineffective. I'm just to a point now where I don't think getting rid of it's the answer. I used to be like, get rid of it. Let the people represent themselves directly.
Well, I mean, it's a TikTok, so take it for what it is. But so I know this is a simplistic idea, but it was just some dude, and he's like, "Does anybody else think that we could just get rid of Congress and replace it with an app? Like everybody just goes on, and all month, you get at any time you could submit a bill, and then just like Reddit or whatever, they upvote and downvote. At the end of the month, the top 5. Why does this keep doing it? At the end of the month, the top 5 bills then get, we all vote on it and direct individually right through the app. And then, if people don't pay attention, they don't pay attention. But that way, we have a lot more power. We get rid of an entire, not that getting rid of a branch of the government is good, but we're not getting rid of it. We're just putting it back into our own hands. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, see, you trying to make fun of me. You thought it was a drug. Projection. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Oh, and Jamal said, I'm going to tip a little of this drink for Morty. Happy birthday. Thank you.
But then now looking back, like that would have led to a more direct democracy, mob mentality. Someone makes a viral Twitter post, gets 100 million people to vote for some stupid shit, and then it ruins the entire system. So we've got the representatives there to kind of act as a stopgap. I'm much more conservative about just tearing it down. I don't like the idea of tearing it down. I want to kind of maintain what we've got and augment it.
Yeah, so I obviously, like I said, the whole thing of just like simplifying it to an app is too simplistic of an idea. But the idea of just a direct democracy in this context would be, it's not everything that we vote on is through that app, but at least certain things. I don't know. Like I said, it was just a TikTok. It's not a well thought out thing. But the fact is that there's so much bloat in that branch of the government that it's worth thinking about. Guamtag says, I remember it being brought up on Timcast, an idea to serve in Congress like you would in jury duty. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but that's all. I mean, again, it would be much cheaper, and it gives a lot more power back to the people. And then especially, again, if it's something where there's some kind of barrier to entry, where you have to pass the civics test, like Vivek has been talking about, then we make sure that it's in the hands of the people, and it could be random people, but it's people that we have vetted to some extent. Again, just a half-baked idea, something that definitely isn't a finished solution, but I thought it was interesting. Any said, you have the right idea where the people get to vote, but you can leave Congress and or the Senate into manage it all. Do not vote on it, but take care of the paperwork. Yeah, that works. I mean, I'm with that. Anything to cut the bloat, anything to get more power in the hands of the people I'm down with that. IM169 says maybe an app for ballot ideas that Congress must vote on. That sounds better. Where the idea of what we're voting on or what they're voting on, they're still supposed to be our representatives, and so we have the app, and then anybody can propose a bill idea. And then upvote, downvote, whatever, and then whatever wins, Congress must vote on that. I like that. See, groupthink, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah,
that's a big change for me.
Well,
Yeah,
we
it was
go ahead.
it was we watched it. I think it was a Trump speech or something, and he made a comment about wanting to destroy the deep state or something to that effect. And
Word up.
you pointed out, and I'm really glad you did, because I felt exactly the same way, that when politicians make comments like these kind of like very broad, generalized comments, you're like, well, what does that mean to destroy the deep?
Wait a minute. This is a filter he's got on? I didn't know that.
Broad,
Look at the glasses.
Generalized comments. You're like, well, what does that mean to?
But why? But why? This guy's not even on screen. I don't know. Whatever.
Destroy the deep state, right? Are you talking about just to like weed out the bad actors? Are you talking about like to destroy like these entire institutions, altogether, like the State Department, the FBI? And I understand that, a lot of these institutions have problems in them and corruption in them, but we need to have institutions that do these things in our country. And when someone talks about like razing it to the ground, I think, caution is warranted. And I give you a lot of credit, Ian, that, you were like the one person in the room that was like defending, the concept of these institutions, and everyone else was attacking you. And I'm sure most people in the audience were attacking you too. So I just give you a lot of credit for standing your ground there.
As do I. And that's exactly the type of thing that, now that he is the topic of discussion, they're going to get into some more, Ian-esque stuff. Yeah. I didn't know those. I just figured, because they make glasses like that are actual glasses, and they just look like the thing. But I don't know. I assumed he just wore those glasses. But yeah, they get into stuff like, after the social contagion, they're talking about, does working things make people happier? What is God? Can we ever know? The case against reality and conscious. Does free will exist? And 9/11 truthing. So we got a bunch of good stuff to get into.
Thank you for pointing that out. I used to be, I would have this like, these like philosophy, mental gymnastic things I would do with myself. And I used to be like, what if I just pushed a button and killed every mosquito? Because I hate mosquito. I was going through a phase where I hated mosquitoes. I'm like, that would be great, man. No more mosquitoes. And I was like, wait, how would that affect the ecosphere? Frogs eat mosquitoes. What animals would die off if all the mosquitoes were gone? What would that lead to? Ecological collapse. And it's the same with the deep state or with any kind of government. Like in Iraq, when they went in and just fired the Americans went in, invaded, took over and removed the Ba'ath Party, which was Saddam Hussein's political party, from power. And they made it so that none of them could serve in the government again. They went off and formed ISIS. Like they were like, yo, we have all these fucking connections. We're not going to let you. Who do you think you are, guy, anyway? And so I don't want to see that happen in the United States. All those people with all those connections with Lockheed Martin and Boeing. If you're going to change that system, you tell me what you're going to change it into. Don't just tell me you want to knock it down. I'm not into that.
Hey, we'll get into it. Don't worry, getting ahead of us. Just chill. It's a party, girl. Chill. See, Guantek's right there with me. Guantek says, oh, Ian, you would just save us from Bill Gates' mosquito diseases. Yeah, I mean, there certainly is. Someone in the comments said, someone in their chat said, based mosquito hater. And one said, a bunch of people are saying mosquito Hitler. But I mean, who likes mosquitoes? I'm sure that frogs could find something else to eat other than mosquitoes. I think that would be a net gain.
Yeah, that's a great point. Imagine disbanding the CIA. What kind of trouble are those guys? What kind of trouble are those guys going to get into? I can't imagine them not showing up Monday morning at some place. That's going to be the new CIA headquarters, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop
I think
them?
a lot about, like, no one guy has any kind of authority in this world. It is either a crowd movement or nothing. Like, if one guy goes in and is like, I'm going to change everything. Now, all 1,000 of you with all these guns and military connections you're like, yeah, right, dude. Good luck. No. Same with Barack Obama, man. He went in 2008. I was a huge advocate for Obama. And he was in there for like 6 months to a year. And he was pretty much ready to oversee a revolution of some sort in the United States. Like, he was prepped to like stand by and allow people to change the government for the better. And no one did anything. They just sat there. And so he slowly got co-opted by all the interests around him because he couldn't do shit. He's one guy. We need like a movement of people to, ethically alter the Constitution in a way it needs to be changed, to update it, to be able to interact with this new technology, this internet.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Daniel. Vote Vivek. He said he will do it. Is he lying? Maybe. That's what politicians do, but at least he's saying it, right? Nick says, I'm with you there. Hate those bloodsuckers. Ugh, that's the I'm pretty sure the worst part about summer, because I hate the cold. I mean, obviously, I don't have a lot of body fat to keep me warm in the winter. So between like, I don't know, maybe mid-March and September, or excuse me, mid-May and September is the only time that I'm comfortable. The rest of the year, I'm just always freezing. And then summer comes and it's amazing. But you spend some time outside, you get one little bite, and now it's just like, oh God, it's the worst. I hate mosquitoes so much. Gonzax, I usually worry about revolution over reform, but Vivek might have the right idea. Yeah, I mean, there's only so far things can go before, you have to take more drastic actions, and especially on the Republican side where they've just done nothing, at least that I can see, nothing good that I can see over the last, 20, 30, 40 years, except slow down the fringe leftists. I mean, at what point are we ready to say, hey, we got to do something? And then Trump got into office, and that still didn't change enough. So, I mean, we're beyond desperate times. Call for desperate measures for sure.
Yeah, I think with Obama too, like whenever, like in my opinion, whenever you see like these systems are producing these outcomes, everyone assumes that it's bad actors, which it is to an extent. But I think what also happens that people don't appreciate until they're in the position to see how the sausage is made is that these systems end up basically incentivizing some behavior in some way because like the alternative is worse, or just that is what like the end result of a democracy, ends up kind of producing this result. And in order to fix that, it's like you have to convince so many people down the line to actually change something for the better that would end up hurting them, which no one at the end of the day wants to do. Everyone wants to be kind of self-interested.
I gotta be honest, I didn't listen to the last two sentences because M169 said, get some Skin So Soft from Avon. Avon? Whatever. The mosquitoes will leave you alone. Is that legit? Because I will order that right now. I hate mosquitoes so much. Gontag says, listening to Ramaswamy makes me proud to be an American. Something I've never felt since I started voting. You know what? I think I'm right there with you. When I wasn't really paying much attention during Obama, then when I started paying attention in the 2015, 2016 roundup, and I didn't know that watching CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News was not getting a wide variety of news, and I was brainwashed into, many of you already know, voting for Hillary Clinton. But since then, and so I was a never Trumper for a long time until I realized, oh, okay. But then there was so much divide, and yeah, you're absolutely right, Glomtech. Because hearing the things that he says don't even necessarily offend the people who would be against the ideas in the same way that Trump does. And I think there is a big value in the brash nature that Trump has, but there's also a lot of value in what you are talking about. Well said.
Yeah, maybe hyperbolic to say everyone, but I know what you mean. Like some people are willing to make sacrifices,
right.
like get off.
I gotta run this back. Once I heard this, I was not listening.
So many people down the line to actually change something for the better that would end up hurting them, which no one at the end of the day wants to do. Everyone wants to be kind of self-interested.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe hyperbolic to say everyone, but I know what you mean. Like some people are willing to make sacrifices, like get off the grid and maybe not. But I know exactly what you mean. Unless people are willing to accept that there's going to be some sort of sacrifice, like $29 hamburgers. If we really want to stop our world conquest and obsession with forcing the U.S. dollar, if we really want to stop that, you've already seen what's happened in the last 4 years with inflation.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question about do we want to stop pushing the power of the U.S. dollar? I mean, we obviously don't want to be continually printing it, but if the alternative is that, there's no, or there's a different world reserve currency, then doesn't that put us in a really bad situation? I mean, we're already in a bad situation, but wouldn't that make it, isn't the fact that the petrodollar and all that, isn't that kind of basically holding up the entire economy?
The reason people are like, it used to be so great. Only one parent had to work. And like, yeah, that's because we were like conquering the world and riding off the back of all this slave trade and stuff.
Really? In the 50s? Or are you talking about around the world? In which case, we still are benefiting off of slave trade around the world.
They just didn't know it.
Well, I mean,
So-
also the economy was structured very differently. You know, back in those days, labor had significant. So that's a good example. Like labor had significantly more power in like the post World War II era, but then labor having more power led to a large inflation. And then it's like, so then we basically, with Reagan came in, we kind of traded low inflation but weakening labor, and it kind of, that's like the trade-off. And people just kind of, people wanted it, they want it all essentially. They don't understand that there are these trade-offs that you have to basically deal with.
I mean, it's a shitty trade-off. I mean, you might be right about the fact that you can't have it all, but it doesn't mean it's not a shitty trade-off.
Well, and technology has been weakening labor ever since.
Well, that's a good point too, right? And globalization and exports and everything of that nature.
And that makes me think of the Writers Guild strike.
Mhm.
Like with AI is taking over the
Interesting.
writing industry.
See, that's the
And they're
kind
all
of
out there like,
that's the kind of stuff that I love about Ian. That his mind works in such a different way that he was able to connect that to the AI that is replacing jobs in let's just say in Hollywood. Interesting guy.
no, stop. And you're like, are you kidding me? Look at the history of technology. It doesn't stop. Like adapt or
Nope.
die. Not
Yup.
literally, but the
Learn to
jobs
code.
will adapt or die off. You know, there will be no more humans writing with pens. I mean, maybe not no more, but it'll be humans prompting AI to write things. And one
Shout out to Homath, who is always going to use his pen and paper.
guy
Whatever.
will be able to write 20 times the amount of stories because he'll have the AI throwing all these ideas at him.
Mhm.
They'll go in and make edits. So it'll be like another form of creativity. And it saddens me to watch people just scream out, no, go away, stop. Like it's accept it, you know?
Will the AI be the
Based.
audience though? I wonder when if AI.
I mean, me too, Ian. Me too, Ian. You saw that reaction? Oh my goodness. I never thought about that.
Accept it, you know?
Will the AI be the audience though? I wonder when
Look at that fit. That's exactly how I read it. Will AI be the audience? What does that even mean? I mean, we already know this. I can't imagine he's going to go anywhere else with the dead internet theory, where 99% of the internet is bots. And those of us who are actually interacting are mainly either interacting with each other or interacting with bots. Gontac says, this is why we need an automation and AI tax on large businesses. Would help with supplementing the loss of income due to the robots. It sounds like a good idea. I'm just, as a more libertarian dude, I have a very hard aversion to adding taxes. But like we say with free speech, you know, as much as we want free speech and generally don't like censorship, there is good types of censorship. And this might be, you know, a great idea. What do you guys think about that? An AI tax on large businesses. Does that kind of get in the way of what Ian's saying is about adapt or die? And that, you know, like, I mean, think of probably the last big thing like this was Napster and being able to download things. And I'm wondering, you know, I'm just trying to, maybe they're not completely analogous, but I'm thinking if there was some kind of tax there, would that have helped the music industry be what it was before Napster? And I don't know if it would, but interesting point. What do you guys think about what Guamsek is saying here? Daniel says, forget the writer's strike. What happens when the truckers get replaced by AI drivers? That's another entire working force that goes away, and a much more fundamental industry to everything. Like, if we don't have no more Hollywood, like, that's gonna suck. But you got me. You don't need Hollywood, right? If we don't have truckers, we're screwed.
If AI is actually creates a situation where we're all kind of producing works of art, but there is no real audience because the audience is so spread out. Will AI step in and start being the audience?
Why would it? I don't understand the premise of the question. Who would benefit from being from creating an AI that's programmed to watch content? I mean, unless it would be content. Is that what he's asking of content creators? Like instead of appealing to you guys, I'm just gonna make AI accounts. Is that what he's talking about?
I think so, yeah. And I think it'll incentivize people. Like the AI wants our data so that it can use it to create more data.
Totally.
So it will incentivize. It'll incentivize good creation, and it will probably pay you for its joy. Like if it can, it's like, this is useful. Receive some crypto for your work.
So if you that's an interesting concept. So if you create something that now adds to the wealth of knowledge that an AI has, then you get some kind of credit for that. Now that would be really difficult to figure out, you know, what that is. But interesting. I mean, eventually, on a long enough timeline, everything is going to be everything that we know today as work is going to be replaced. So eventually, that's going to happen. But interesting. Where are we at? Nick says Ramaswamy seems like a great dude, but I'm a little concerned that people want Trump enough to make it hard for him. I just saw yesterday where people chanted Trump at a meet and greet for Ron DeSantis. Well, certainly I would be chanting for Trump over DeSantis, but you do bring up a great point. And, you know, as much as Vivek got me really, really excited and continues to get me really excited every time I listen to him, when I kind of come back to reality and understand how much power there is in the MAGA base, I'm you know, I mean, now with all the indictments and stuff, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Trump. But if Trump is allowed to run, I don't see any way that he is not the candidate. I don't see any way. Unless something major happens, that seems like what's going to happen. But I'm perfectly fine with that, especially if Vivek's going to be the VP, and that puts him, not only does that give us a good VP, and, you know, in case of anything happens, then he's in there, and then he's in a great position for 2028. Daniel says, well, it's not just the fact that they're truckers. That is the biggest industry that basically hires high school diploma holders. The only extra being the CDL. Yeah, I mean, that is something, that's, I think, right, the biggest industry. Yeah, the biggest industry. That's one of the biggest industries that's going to be hit hard. And because we already have the technology, it's also one of the most, at least it's perceived to be the most imminent one. I mean, you know, McDonald's workers and cashiers at Walmart are already gone, but, you know, that's not really a specialized job. Granted, there's a lot of people who could use those positions, but, you know, it's not the same thing as getting rid of all the truckers. Cerber says, who decides what a large business is? That is what gets a little shifty when we talk about taxes. And I'm sure it would have to do with, you know, profit levels or something measurable. And, you know, if we were to decide, okay, that's what we want to do to help fight the hardship on people that AI is bringing, then, you know, that's certainly a conversation that we would need to have. But there's nothing saying that we can't differentiate. And there might be a very small, because if we say large business, we know that the gap between most like mom and pop shops and like the corporate, it's not like mom and pop shops. When we say large business, if we do this properly, that they would get caught up in the same thing. So if we make the barrier to entry high enough that even some, maybe we say it is a large business, but they don't they fall under the line. I think the issue with when we talk about these vague terms and tax brackets and stuff, then it comes to like the situation where you don't want to make an extra $10 a day because that's going to put you in the next tax bracket or something like that. So I definitely understand where the question is coming from, but a conversation that definitely could be had. Guantex says, I wonder if we're finally past the adapt or die mindset. Nope. We have the ability to form a type of UBI from an ethical and moral standpoint. The adaptation would be forced on the government. So I agree. Eventually, like I said, on a long enough timeline, I do think that UBI is going to be the only thing that makes sense, just because there's not going to be enough stuff for people to do. Everything is going to be controlled by computers, and everything that is controlled by computers can theoretically be controlled by AI. And so even if you have all these huge factories and whatever, if everything is controlled by one guy just making sure everything, that's an entire industry, whatever that industry is. But I think we are a little bit far away from that. And I think we're unfortunately going to have to see a lot of people, or at least one major industry, hopefully not the trucking industry, but we're going to have to see an industry get replaced. We're going to have to see the people who are hurting from this, because people don't pay attention. So the idea that eventually we will get to a place where the economy doesn't work the same way that it does now because there's not enough jobs is a concept. And I might agree with that completely, but when it comes to politics, you have to get people to believe you. You have to get people to feel like you have the right answer. And right now, I mean, I just think we're maybe one step, like one big evolution in this technological game has to happen before we start putting UBI on the table, because we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet. And there's, especially with all the socialism and Marxist stuff, it's just too close, and it's not necessary yet. So I think eventually, but just not yet. Daniel says to Guamtech, we will never be past adapt or die. Our environment changes, we adapt or we die. Exactly. That's evolution, baby. Guamtech says there are ways to figure out what a big business is. The good part is the business doesn't have to choose automation or AI. Therefore, they don't have to pay the tax. That sounds nice, but is that reasonable? Is that reasonable? If you can run a business on $1,000 a year because you just download an AI app, and maybe it's $20,000 for the app, but the subscription is $1,000, and so you could run your entire large business for $1,000 a year, why wouldn't you choose automation or AI? It would be ridiculously stupid, because everything that you do, unless you're in a super hyper fixated on manual labor in the way that, you know, like sometimes people want specifically handcrafted knives or custom made things, unless you're talking about that, it's not going to be a business, because you, in order to pay for whatever product or service you have, you're going to have enough the price high enough to pay all the people that the other companies who have chosen automation or AI are not using. Guamtech goes on to say, adapt out for falling on the everyman is what I mean. Adapt or die. Try one more time. Yeah. One more time. Like how horse trainers needed to adapt to the car. They lost out, not the government. I agree. So okay, but I agree with that. What's the bottom line with that? Nick says that would be awesome. He's talking about Vivek. He's young enough to be VP first, get experience, then go for POTUS. Trump can only do one term, so that could work. Yeah, I think that is the ideal situation, and I actually think that's what Vivek is going for. Because you see that he is not going after Trump, whereas DeSantis has taken the position of attacking Trump from the right. So I think Vivek is positioning himself well to be that guy. I mean, if you're the only guy who's like, hey, yeah, Trump's a pretty good dude. He's like, I like you, okay? Okay, I'm still going to beat you, but you're going to be my guy. Yeah, we got that one. M169 said, I do my level best not to use self-checkout. Me too. Mainly because I'm lazy and I would rather just stand in line and be on my phone for 5 minutes and let them do it. But even if I was in a rush, I would still go to the cashier. M169 goes on to say, I did that job in my teens and early 20s. Same. I don't work for Walmart. Exactly. I mean, you should get a discount. You should get a discount if you check yourself out. If you're willing to pay somebody to do it, why are you not willing to pay me to do it? Seems reasonable, right? Nick says, I'm with you. I hate those anyway. same, but it's hurting the checkers, and that's not right. But as we say that, as much as we do that, the notion that we are actually making a material difference in stopping the takeover of the cashier position by technology, that ain't gonna happen. We might be slowing it down a little bit, which is a virtuous thing if you think it's the right thing to do, but don't delude yourself, you know. Daniel says, even then, the government has to adapt or die itself to the technology, to new innovations, to life, or whatever else. Well said. The who?
What?
The what? The sanctimonious, the swampness. Nick says we need both handmade custom items as well as mass production. There is a place for both. The problem is that when it like right now, it might cost 3 times the price. Let's use the knife example, because that was the first thing that came to mind. So if you just go to Walmart and buy let's say a set of steak knives, then that's going to be X amount of dollars. If you want custom made steak knives, then sure, you're going to pay more, but it's only going to be maybe 3 times more. Whereas if we look to the future where everything is automated and by AI, then you can get these knives for X amount of dollars, but the handmade would still have to cost essentially the same. And so it would be a lot more than 3 times the price. So right now there's a place for both, but I don't know. Come on. I don't know if that place is going to stay. There we go. Got to get my pretty face in frame. Daniel says, adapt or die is part of life for every organism, from a microbe to a tree to a human. We all do it. That's evolution, baby. That is evolution. All right. So what were they talking about? The using the AI as the audience.
It will incentivize good creation, and it will probably pay you for its joy. Like if it can, it's like, this is useful, receive some crypto for your work. And people be like, okay, I'm not even, I'm just here to please the system.
So are
Terrifying,
you
I don't know.
Are you a believer in universal basic income being inevitable, or like how do we face
Here you go, Glomtech. This is right up your alley. Let's see if he's with you.
this challenge where obviously we're going to reach a point where human labor is just wholly inadequate in the face of what machines can do. Like there will be no job that a human can do better than a machine. So why would you, obviously, like, why are you going to hire a human tax accountant if it's completely inferior and costs more money than the AI tax accountant?
Brrr, I say. That's exactly what I done said. We got a comment here. Let me grab that real quick. Glomtech says, I understand the adapt or die. I understand the adapt or die idea on its face, and that's true. I'm saying adapt or die for the average Joe wouldn't be the case as much it has throughout most of history. Why do you say that? Why I'm saying adapt or die for the average Joe wouldn't be the case as much as it has been throughout most of history. What would change, or what has changed? Because there's always the average Joe, whatever that that might be relative, but there's always the average Joe. There's always the early adopters of new technology. There's always the boomers, so to speak, who who get left behind, and then the people who can't keep up with this stuff. Like I've been telling my dad, my dad has always said that even though I'm the middle child, I'm an older brother who just turned 40 and a younger sister. I think she's like 29 or 30 or something like that. And because I was of that age where, my brother was already in high school when, like high-speed internet was coming around. So it wasn't really like a super big, important part of his, his life, going to school and stuff like that. So I was the one who was like, oh, we need to get internet. Oh, we need to get high speed. Oh, we need to get smartphones. Oh, we need to, keep up with this stuff. We need to get the when we were still doing cable. We need to get the cable box with the DVR. We got to do, and my parent, so my dad's like, you've been the one that's always dragged us into the future. At the time, we were saying the next millennium, but we're still in the same millennium this time. Point being, I forget. But basically, there's going to be people. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry. So, talking about AI, I've been, because I use ChatGPT all the time. I use Midjourney all the time. And I've been telling my dad that, hey, you need to start learning how to talk to AI because it's just, a fun little thing on the side now, but it's going to take over the world exactly the same way, if not more, than the internet has done. So get on it. And for those of you who know, you can't, like ChatGPT is pretty standard. You could just talk to it. But like Midjourney with the AI art, you can't just like type in any little thing. You have to talk to it a certain way. And I'm sure that that's going to, over time get easier for the average Joe. But it's still a language. And you still know boomers who are, not that old. And we're, maybe in their 30s or 40s by the time all this internet stuff and social media came around, and they just never did. And so even though they were around and they've had a lot of time, they still don't know. And it's going to be the same with AI. So M169 said, pretty sure there's no AI that can deliver a baby better than human hands. Yeah, sure? You sure you're sure? You sure you're sure you're sure? Because I'm pretty certain that there's a lot of nuances in what is going on with a baby being delivered that because we can't see directly into the womb, and we have ultrasound technology and stuff like that. But if an AI can use other vital signs, other information from your body to understand, oh, there's a problem here, or oh, we can do this easier. The baby's small enough. We only need to do this. I'm just saying, are you sure? You said you're pretty sure. How sure? Nick says, you are right. You can either embrace it or get dragged kicking and streaming. I'm off today, guys. I'm still, my brain from, if you didn't catch it, when I was live with Peter Boghossian yesterday. Oh, wait, let me pull that down just to flex my shit right here. I was live with Peter Boghossian yesterday, and my brain is still a little bit frazzled. He threw me for a loop. That is a very intelligent dude. If you have not, please definitely go check that out. So let's try this again. You can either embrace it or get dragged kicking and screaming, not streaming, into the future. There we go. I promise you, I can read. Gonzak says, the AI and automation would be taking the jobs, but people won't have to adapt to the loss of money or jobs if we had the tax. It would be the government who has to do the adapting for once. Okay, so he goes on to say, I think people are taking my adapt or die stance a little too literally. Yes, we will adapt, just not the way we had to throughout history. Going back to this, I don't know that I trust like the amount of money, the amount of just the amount of money that's flowing through the economy from people working, people getting paid, people paying for services, people doing all this stuff. I don't know that I trust the government to adapt in the way that is best for us. So I'm very hesitant to be like, okay, we're all working our stuff. Yeah, you have the IRS and you take your part out and whatever. But you know what? Now you just take all of it. Just take control over all of it. That scares me. That scares me. Indie Film says MGTOW future. AI on board the ultimate Japanese wife bot will be the end of mankind. Yeah. I mean, they already have, unless this is a meme or something I've seen, they have what look like vending machines on the street in Tokyo or Singapore or something like that, where you can just go and get sucked off. Just like on the street in New York, but it's in Tokyo. And they just have you just pay your quarter, whatever, and you go on with your day. You might be right, Indie Film. You might be right. Nick says, I worked at what many people say was the best custom knife shop in the country. And I don't think that it's going away. It's a small percentage, but it's something that you can only appreciate after handling them. And again, Nick, I 1000% agree. But that last thing you said, it's only something you can appreciate after handling them. So if it cost 15 times as much to get essentially the same thing to the person who has not yet handled and does not yet appreciate them, why would they spend all that money? Just because you understand about it doesn't mean that they will. Like, I don't know why the camera keeps doing this. It's like Joe Dirt when he's at the fireworks stand. It's not about you. It's the consumer. And so you might be willing, Nick, you personally might be willing to spend 10 times as much on a knife because it's custom. But how many people will? How many people will today? And that number is going to be sliced in dramatically as this stuff kicks up. And 169 says, I don't know if I trust it. If I were still of a childbearing age, I'd want and need a fellow human with me. I mean, fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But you've already lived in this world. If you're born into a world where that's just how stuff is done, you wouldn't even question it. The last time you got a pap smear, did you say, well, I'd rather, just not using the machines. I'd like a human to do it. I bet you didn't. Because you're just used to, oh, this is how this is done. And so this is the, we living in this pre-AI world are the ones who are going to have to adapt. But the kids who are born into it and the rest of humanity after that, that's just going to be how it is. Amanda says, we are headed towards Wally. Unfortunately true. Hey, shout out to Unwanted Foe getting the Morty party started. What do you want? I think he's had enough peanut butter. But that goes to that. So thank you so much, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
Yeah, anything that requires calculations, jobs that rely on calculation power are going to be supplanted by AI. But like things like carpentry, well, machines can do carpentry, but like plumbing, things where there's
again, why is that
challenging bits of manual labor will probably be the last vestiges of human work.
I think
they'll be the last, but they will still get taken over.
They're going too, though. I mean, seriously, Tesla is working on a robot.
Yep. And shout out again to Unwanted Foe. Thank you so much. You guys know I see other comments, but when I get a super chat like this, I like to jump right back into the video to say thank you so much. Speaking of thank you, shout out to Mr. Fields. Welcome to the party. Morty is my puppy who is scared. Let's bring him up. My puppy who just turned 14 years old today. So I am a very proud dad. And I gave him not a whole thing of peanut butter, but I ate a lot. It was an empty thing of peanut butter. And he enjoyed it. And he is now over here taking a nap. Let's get the Morty cam right quick. Let's see. Can we see him? Oh, wrong one. All right. There he is. Morty! There you are. What a good boy. That is Morty, and he very much appreciates it that you are celebrating his birthday with me. Welcome. We also got Ziggs in the building. Welcome. Said, ahoy, chat, just dropping in to say hi, and that Lech is a real one, always on current cultural trends, giving good insights, plus happy birthday, Morty. Thank you so much, Lord Morty. Thank you very much. Daniel says, thanks. Now I'm forced to contemplate how often they clean the suction device on that machine. I mean, just saying, that's the number one reason I would not use it. Guantex says, as someone who just went through natural birth with my wife, I agree with M169. I think they will charge a premium price for something so important, but it would be worth it at that point. If you can afford it. And that's really the difference here, is just like I was saying with Nick, that if he feels that it's worth spending 10 times as much to get essentially the same knife because he knows that it's handcrafted. And again, at this stage that we're talking about, you are not going to be able to tell the difference. The reason that you appreciate and would spend 3 times more on a knife is that now you're able to feel the difference. But when AI gets that good, just like we're seeing with AI art, just like we're seeing with AI video, just like we're seeing with everything else, it's going to be indistinguishable. Hey, we got some more happy birthdays. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. I mean, I honestly never, I I never thought he was going to die early, but 14. I'm happy with that, and I just put him on a mix of senior food with this also like super high level food that's supposed to make your dog live 20 years. So we'll see. We're gonna keep on riding as long as we can. Thank you guys, very, very much appreciated. All right, let's see where we were here.
Probably the last vestiges of human work.
I think those are
the whole
going too, though. I mean, seriously, Tesla is working on a robot, and that robot will be a factory worker.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys have seen, what is it, the Boston Tech, I think it is. Rogan, at least when he was on YouTube, he's always talking about that, and he's bringing up that robot that can like do backflips, and I mean, it's like Terminator.
Okay, this makes sense. I've been railing against the jobs economy for the idea of a job economy. It's a Federal Reserve tactic. Like we want guy A, dig a hole, guy B, fill the hole back up.
Right.
And they pay us. They pay both of them with
Right.
money that then they require back at interest. So the people are in constant debt slavery servitude.
That is a fantastic analogy. That's a fantastic analogy. They're paying one guy to dig the hole, and they're paying another guy to fill the hole back in, and they're with interest or debt, whatever. And so that you constantly have work to do. The work is never done, and they always have a reason to say we need more.
And they're just doing like busy work. So they don't go because they don't want revolutionaries. They want people to stay busy and sad and like weak and like sucking off the system. But we don't need jobs. Like jobs aren't like, you just need to survive. You need to be. That is your one thing is homeostasis. If you can exist, that is your. So whether or not like universal basic income could help us maybe meet more of like our divine purpose, it is possible. I don't. There's a big difference between having zero and having a little bit. Having like zero to your name and having $1,000 to your name is a huge. People with zero have a very hard time getting out of it because they don't have showers, they don't have a place to sleep. Like those two things.
That doesn't mean it's impossible, though. That certainly doesn't mean it's impossible, but absolutely. Nick says, I get you, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I know, I think we're still talking about the baby stuff. Or no, the knife thing. Okay. So I get you. I don't necessarily disagree, but I know how many appropriate fine things. But I had men and women ask why a knife would cost $4,500 and a couple of minutes showing and explaining, and they got it. So what are you showing and explaining? Oh, it was handcrafted. Oh, you see, this part is done because it was handcrafted. It is better than if you're just to buy a mass-produced knife. What happens when you can get the same quality of again, they already don't get it. So what you're explaining is they still get it with the mass-produced knife now because it's done by AI. And so they can't tell the difference except for the flex that it is, in fact, handmade. Right now, those things are, it has a difference. There is a difference between a mass-produced knife and a custom handcrafted knife. But I'm asking when we get to the place where there is not that difference, then why would somebody pay more? M169 said, like I-75, it will never be not under construction. There we go. Cerberus says, I heard that humans used to deliver babies. We used to be such a primitive species. Computer Earl Grey hot. There you go.
Things will get you a job. If you stink, if you don't have clean clothes, it's going to be very hard to fit in, to get your footing. So
of course,
if we could tell, but I don't think necessarily throwing money at someone that doesn't want to participate is gonna make them want to participate.
Shout out to Doomer Media, living up to the name. Welcome to the party. Said Sitch is such a moron. Okay, fair enough. Why do you say that? And welcome to the party.
Right. Yeah, it's this kind of delicate balancing situation because, I mean, I agree when you're at zero, that's like to climb out of zero can be like impossible for a lot of people. But then on the same token, where I guess I disagree. I don't like with the Fed and kind of the way that our government works and the economy works. Like, I don't think there's an intention to basically force people to work to prevent revolutionary action. I think it's just that psychologically, when people just acquire things for free versus when they acquire things for working for them, I think that has a dramatic effect on the people's behavior. And it seems like overall people are able to be more responsible, I guess, with their money, more responsible with their property when they have a
More responsible with their money. So let me ask you, Nick, since we're on this. So let's say this Damascus blade, everything with the engraving, the ivory, the handle, all the jewels, they can all be put into the exact same knife. And you, Nick, wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless somebody told you which one. So if that is the case, if to you they are identical, then even still, you might say, yeah, I care about the handcraft. I care about the industry. I'm going to spend 10 times. Or let's say, because if we're talking about a $4,500 knife, I don't know, they were like that. But so then we're going to be talking about $15,000. Would you really pay $15,000 for just knowing that it's handcrafted and nobody else can tell? Now, maybe designer bags, designer shoes, designer clothes, all of that stuff is an industry. I'm just saying that as the AI gets better and better at replicating what is handcrafted, then the value of it being handcrafted is going to go down. Quantex says, I would argue that people will pay for the flaws. The lack of perfection can be a huge draw to the authenticity of the product. Guess what you can program in AI? Flaws. Nick says it's not something I see AI soon being able to replicate. But even if it can, to some, it's everything. And exactly, to some, but not enough that it's going to be able to, you're going to be able to run a business. So maybe it's something you'll be able to do on the side, but how much time does it take to handcraft a knife? Is that really going to be a worthy side gig? I don't think so. Yeah, I get all of that. But if I am certainly not willing to spend $4,500 on a knife right now. And I'm sure within moments of seeing it and touching, I would say, okay, clearly there is a lot more craft and value in this, but I still don't want it because plastic knives work perfectly fine for me. So when that is that goes from $4,500 to $15,000, all I'm saying is that the number of people who are willing to say, oh, it's unique. Oh, I like the flaws. Oh, well, that's not one, but you know what I mean. But the people that are saying that, it's not going to be as many, and it's not going to be a viable way to make a living. And so what's going to sell for more, the Mona Lisa or an AI reproduction of the Mona Lisa? Certainly the AI, or excuse me, certainly the original. And that is precisely why, if you can get a AI reproduction that you cannot tell and nobody else can tell, why, other than the flex, unless you're like all the rich people now do with art that are just laundering money, why would you spend that much money on something that you can't tell? And I mean, have you guys ever seen the Mona Lisa in person? Not to speaking of flexing, but I have seen it in person, and it's literally that big, and she's kind of ugly. And I mean, I am just saying, I don't get it. Unwanted Foe said Mona Lisa with one of those anti-oil people glued to it. Yeah, that would be that's how you'd get it.
Sense that they worked for it as opposed to it just being like gifted to them.
That's a really good point. It gives people purpose, and purpose will prevent people from becoming radicalized. So
yeah, because I guess that's kind of the problem, because it's like if we have, when we have the robots do everything, what is the purpose of humans? Are we all just gonna? Is their purpose all just gonna be to like, masturbate and play video games all day? Like people need a grander purpose, I think, generally than just entertainment, and I'm not sure.
I agree, which is why, whether it's religion or anything else, that you have to have that spiritual aspect of your life in place. Now, as a very, very, very strong atheist, I do not look to a God belief, but I see a lot of value in what Christians themselves value, what's in the Bible. There's a lot in there that, and by not being a Christian, I can simply just say, hey, that's a great value. I'm going to build that into my life, and I don't have to take anything that I don't like. I don't have to worry about, oh, there's rules about slavery in here. Oh, there's rules about super misogyny. You can go down the list, and there's a lot of things in the Bible that I don't want. And so that's exactly why I think our purpose is that the experience itself. And if you're religious, then, you know, again, a job is not going to be your purpose. Your whatever your God belief is going to dictate that. M169 said, I've heard it's smaller than you'd think. Yeah. It's I mean, it doesn't need to be huge to be good, but the Mona Lisa, like, literally is probably about that big. It's probably about that big. I mean, I'm small too, but it's not gigantic, and everybody's always crowding around it. So you either, because it's in the Louvre in Paris, and you either have to wait long enough to get close enough to see it, because even they put it kind of high up on the wall, but you're rows and rows and rows of people back, and when you're as short as I am, then you ain't gonna see it. So you can see it from afar, or, you know, you could just mosey around to the other things that you're not going to find anywhere else, and then at the end of the day, all you got to do is take out your phone. Oh, wow, beautiful. Yeah, a little overdone in my personal humble opinion, but maybe I just don't get it. Indie Film says, okay, back on the wife bot. Okay. The Japanese sex wife robot. Okay. Donated eggs, artificial womb, not a S slave, but traditional wife programming. How long till women rated 8 and men below run to tech? I mean, it's already happening, but en masse, I give it a generation. I give it no, let's say 2 generations, because there'll be the one generation that understands, like, we really should be, you know, trying to be with the women, but it's there, but it's like, I don't want to be one of those guys. Then you have the next generation who's grown up with it, and half of them are going to be old school and be like, I would prefer to be with a live human woman. By that third generation, you're like, what? You still try to sleep with girls? What a loser. 2 generations. That's my guess. That's my guess. Unwanted Foe says, probably wouldn't take that long. There's already a subset of MGTOW that would be for it. Yup. Amanda says, well, men are transing themselves anyway, so they will want the artificial womb themselves. Oh, got him. Yeah, get it installed. Good one. Oh, my goodness.
Where exactly that's going to be.
You compete.
Yep. Yeah. The body pillow. That is the what is it called? Waifu? Is that a thing? Waifu? Am I saying that right? If you know, you know. Right? That's a thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just an anime character as a body pillow, and they take it around as their real girlfriend. Now, I've only seen this on, like, My Strange Addiction or something like that. But I mean, like Indy is saying, how long? As they increase the tech, as the women get more and more and more narrow in what they're willing to accept, I mean, it's not gonna take that long. Guamtech says, I think Dune had it right. Another movie I didn't see. That is one we should do for movie night in the Discord server, which I think Melted My Media just dropped the link for the Indian Jesus Discord server, where the party never ends. That's right, 24/7 we are in there hanging out, and after every single live stream we're going there for an after party where you're not stuck behind your keyboard, but you're actually on screen with me and everybody else. You can cam if you want to, you don't have to. Either way, it's a grand old time. Come and join us.
Compete in other areas, sports, art.
Yeah, but if the robots are all doing art, right? Like,
well, I mean, human-made art I will still compete, right? Thank goodness
maybe.
Art is subjective.
Right?
Sorry, I figured I didn't finish reading this. So I think Dune had it right. Evolve humans to be better than AI, so we don't rely so much on the synthetics and move humanity forward through relying on ourselves. That ain't gonna work. Evolutionarily, we are exactly the same as we were tens and thousands of years ago. AI is moving like that. There is no way to evolve humans. Humans evolve on their own through the process of evolution. But you can't evolve a human. It's not a Pokemon. Yeah. Do we get any waifu stuff? Thank you. Yeah, no. Nick says it's already a small market, but it's not like mass production. The time to program the thing to make one might not really make the price much less. Just saying, because I understand the customers. I hear you. I'm just saying there's not going to be as many of not many of them. And Cerberus, you got it right. You mean how long till it's not taboo? Because like I said, it's already happening. It is already happening. Melton Mimenia said, could Ian not borrow a better cam from Tim? My webcam looks better. Yeah, I mean, once you get to a certain level, it don't really matter. It don't really matter. You're Ian Crossland. People don't care. I mean, look at these guys. He's got the filter. This guy's just got a damn picture. They don't care. They don't care.
Everything just going to be art based? I mean, what about all the non-artists like myself, Adam?
Well, you'll have to figure something out.
Okay.
You have to look. You'll be competing on making video essays, right? Nothing's going to change. You're going to have an
robots are
AI
gonna make
helper.
better essays, video essays than anyone. Okay.
Exactly.
There's something about the physical body of a human vibrating and the bones, the crystalline hydroxyapatite bones inside a human body that are vibrating that, like, I don't think a robot's gonna be able to duplicate. I mean, they might be able to simulate it in a way, but there's something very special about animals that are different than non-animals. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll be eradicated. Maybe the robots will attempt to subjugate the animals, but
the robots will attempt to subjugate the animals. That is a sentence I did not think I would hear or say ever.
Or the humans that bind with the robot will then try to subjugate the animal humans.
Yeah,
I do kind of foresee that the Homo sapien will bifurcate at some point. And we'll have like Homo roboticus and Homo sapien robot.
Homo roboticus. That's going to be the civil war of all humanity. The biohumans and the roboticus humans. That is scary. So let's make that a poll. Who would win? Who wins the Battle of Earth? Oh, I know. I'm referencing on purpose. What did he say? The roboticus or Homo sapiens? Let me know what you think. And replay gang, we got the poll going. Who wins the Battle of Earth? What Ian is talking about right now, the roboticus people or the natural Homo sapiens? Let me know in the comments below.
And try to subjugate the animal humans.
Yeah,
I do kind of foresee that the Homo sapien will bifurcate at some point, and we'll have like Homo roboticus and Homo sapien. And roboticus will be like, why can't they sense what I'm about to think? They must be stupid. Just enslave them like cattle, you know, and they'll look at all the non-cyborgs as like cattle.
What
I can
about
see that happening?
That seems scarily reasonable.
What about travel, Sitch, and like fishing and camping?
Well, Ian brings up the merging with machine, and I think that might be the pathway here is that we're basically over the next 100 years we're going to create robots that basically do everything for us, and there's going to be a time period which is going to be problematic where basically humans don't do anything and we just let the machines do everything, and people just travel, they do entertainment.
That's not nothing.
Well, but nothing productive. And so that's exactly what I was saying, is that I think before we talk about UBI, before we talk about this idea that right now has so much baggage to the left, so much baggage to socialism and communism and Marxism and postmodernism, all of these things, then we're going to have to see real people hurting in order for us to start saying, okay, all right, I know this idea in the past has been crazy and whatever, but things are different now. And we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to see that that pain. Meltamine Media says robots trick animals all the time in nature to blend in. More time, and they will fool us all. Exactly, man. Exactly. M169 says, nah. In the end, it'll be the rats and the roaches. Yep, we'll be trying to figure out our bomb shelters and whatever, and they are going to be chilling, taking over. Daniel Cabrera says, so he's saying somebody will be able to state go gadget dick. I think I'd be down for that. That's haram. Cerberus says the winner will be the one who waged war first without telling the other side. Correct, sir. Correct, sir. And Amanda, you called it. Wally. It's Wally. An unwanted post said, I doubt that war would end up like Hollywood makes it out to be. Yeah, I don't think we, as the natural Homo sapien humans, would do very well against an army of Terminators.
Right, but then after a year, everyone gets kind of sick of that, and people need purpose in their life. They need struggle and conflict in their life. But I do think maybe the solution to that is then we start merging with the machines, and we basically gain that level of intelligence, and then we find new challenges because there's always going to be new.
That's the singularity.
New challenges, new things to explore that we're just not aware of because they're so outside of our realm currently.
You know what we could do? Maybe what will happen is the human will be used, or we will use our bodies to explore and document, and then transmit the data to the species to experience our perception of the travel.
Yeah.
Because the way you perceive something.
Whoa. Did he? Wait. I gotta hear that again. Hold on.
Not aware of because
the human will be used, or we will use our bodies to explore and document, and then transmit the data to the species to experience our perception of the travel.
Yeah.
Because the way you perceive something, your emotional state makes the thing different, seems different than if you perceive it in a different way. So everyone's going to see a mountain in a different, it's going to be a different experience for everyone. And the more you can kind of incorporate other people's experiences into their perceptions into your consciousness, then it may give you a more rich experience.
So is he talking about like VR and AI being mixed? That's kind of what it sounds like, but I am not sure. Shout out to M169 from Nick. Daniel says they are the Borg resistant. They are the Borg. Resistance is futile. We are the Borg. I mean, okay, that's okay. So let's go to our poll here. We got a good 7 votes here. 71% said Roboticus is taking us out. We would be dead. So next poll. All right, poll number 3. So when you are commenting, which you all do, right? All replay gang. I'm watching John, Roger, Tiffany. Yeah, I'm calling you out by name. I don't know how many of you are watching, but let me know. So poll number 3 is, would you become a Roboticus? Roboticus. Boom. Let me know what you think.
When you go there, like I know how you felt when you were there, so I'm excited to see it, and then that could enhance our species' cognitive abilities.
If he's not talking about VR, I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm glad you said that. That's a really great point because what you're talking about is if humans gain the technology essentially to capture not just like a visual image, but the actual personal experience that an individual person has when they like look at a mountain or play an instrument or do whatever, and then capture that in information format and then transmit it to someone else so they can experience it, that would totally drastically completely change everyone's perspective of everything.
Look how friggin' serious he is. Look at that. This is, find a girl who looks at you like Ian is looking at the camera right now.
Totally change the world. And maybe part of the issue that we have when we kind of like trying to look forward to the future and we kind of have this black pill or this nihilistic or this doom and gloom attitude is that like what you were just talking about, like we can't even perceive like when that will happen or what the world would be like when that technology exists. And we're kind of making a mistake here by thinking like, oh, what are we going to do when the robots do everything under our current paradigm of how we exist?
And that's kind of the point that I was making to you, Nick, about, and when we're talking about the delivering a baby as well, that these things you think of them in the paradigm of how we exist now. But like I said, with the what did I use? Like a pap smear. That I don't know. I don't even really know what a pap smear is, but I know that it's an OBGYN thing, and I know that there's some type of technology involved with it. So if you had grown up in a world where it's just, them diving in, I'm being facetious with that, but they're just diving in and feeling around and they're seeing, oh, what's good here? Okay, you're good. Then when they're like, hey, we've got this wand that we want to rub this jelly on your belly or we want to stick this inside you, you're like, whoa, hey, whoa. But if that's how it's always been, that yeah, you go to the doctor and you gotta maybe take an MRI, and so you gotta go into this machine. Like, well, but they could just look at my brain by looking at my nose. This is primitive thinking in terms of the time that we are thinking about. Unwanted Foe said cybernetic enhancements sound pretty cool. I agree. Nick said, I think he's getting at the idea of you being able to experience it from my point of view, and I from your point of view, like the feeling it invokes in us. It would help people understand each other, right? But I like by what wait, is that you, Ziggs? Were you watching this live? You see this? Shout out to Ziggs. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, so if he's not talking about VR though, what is the mechanism that we are getting this experience? So if he is talking, I completely understand. I'm just not sure if that, he didn't say VR, he didn't say anything like that, so I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about. Melty says Ewan will be Locatus of the Borg, aka Robot Picard. For those of you who get it, I hope that was a good one. Guantag says, I'd be a roboticus, but only if it added to my humanity, not took away. Interesting. Now we're getting somewhere. So, what does that mean? What would be a cybernetic enhancement that would take away from your humanity? And what would be one that would add to your humanity? So like what Ian's talking about is understanding people better. Sounds like something that would add to your humanity if I'm understanding the way that you're using it. And then probably most other things would take away from your humanity. If I had to just guess, not really thinking about it. But what? So what? Give me an example of something that would add to your humanity with this robotica stuff, and one that would take away. I'm very interested to see where your brain goes with that one. So Daniel says, first, he needs to go out. Remember what the sun is. Touch some grass. Smell a tree. Maybe see a pond. Who? Who are you talking about? Ian? Ian's all about touching grass and meditating outside and stuff. In classic robot voice. All right. Classic robot. Please, ma'am, lay back, relax, as a bunch of electronics enter you. LOL. Nightmarish. I know. Did that. It was the joke.
And it's like, well, that's going to open so many doorways, so many pathways to experience in life that we're not even thinking about until it actually happens.
Yeah, I was thinking while you were saying that like if we were, I'm not into the Borg, the idea that we would all be in a neural net, thinking each other's thoughts. I mean,
so that's not what he's talking about. What is he talking about?
I think that some humans will do that, and that like when one of them gets better at guitar, all of them will get better at guitar, kind of thing, and they will just hyper advance their abilities.
How though?
But the problem is, if one of them kills someone, then all of them have killed someone, and that will also enhance that type of behavior. So
wow,
the the radical acceleration of behavioral integrity,
that's terrifying. Is if we already have the spectrum of what the normal people do is good and bad, and then that spectrum gets blown out, and then the good things that are done are really, 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 really good. But the average person, it would be more open to doing something terrible. Shout out to Smith 45 ACP. Welcome to the party. So I love how hard it is to offend Ian.
Bingo.
I'm right there with you. I love that too. I love that. He's just open and willing to discuss things. And it's just like if we could all be a little, I'm not saying be like Ian. I don't know if the world would be great if we were all just like Ian, but we could all be a little bit more like Ian. And I think that would make the world better. Welcome to the party, Smith. Unwanted Foe said, through a shared memory storage, maybe? Possibly. But I mean, how is that different than the neural net? Daniel says, sounds like some Kojima nano machines. Yes. Don't know what that is. Unwanted Foe said, like multiple user profiles in one computer. But what's that? That's I get that part, but I'm saying that what's the computer part? If it's not, because I was thinking he was talking VR, and then Nick said Neuralink, but he just said not that. So what is the computer in this analogy? That's what I'm confused about.
There's almost always a dark side to anything any good you can think of. There's going to be a bad, and any bad you can think of, there could probably be a good.
Of
They
course.
say every cloud has a silver lining.
Have you read Ray Kurzweil, the transhumanist guy? Are you?
No, I know of him.
Are you into transhumanism? Is that something you think is going to happen? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's happening right now. We're like in the early stages with the internet and with cell phones and the ability to interface with data so rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like cyborgs and turning into roboticus and everything, but we already have done that. This makes you the most fundamental form of a cyborg. You are outsourcing your own mind, your own memory. Some of you might not be old enough to know that we used to have to memorize the phone numbers of people that we knew in order to call them. Yeah. How many of you know, how many phone numbers do you know off the top of your head? I know my parents' phone numbers. That's about it. My memory is literally stored in this device. That's crazy. It's already happening. It's already happening. Where are we? Dan said you read that really well for having no clue what Metal Gear is. That's from Metal Gear, right? Thank you. Guamtech says, did I miss something? Add to be able to experience more. Right. No. I understand what you mean by adding to your humanity or taking it away. But I'm saying, what would be the features or the enhancements themselves? What would be an enhancement that, in your perspective, would add to your humanity, and what would be a cybernetic enhancement that would take away? That's what I'm asking about. What is a one that would enable you to experience more perspectives, to try and understand viewpoints, and what would be one that would cause you to be locked into only having certain choices controlled by the hive mind? That's what I'm actually asking about. Nick says, I'm loving the chat, going too fast to keep up, because hopefully that means you are getting closer to having the audience to make a positive difference. I'm sure hoping, brother. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And shout out to everybody new here. I appreciate you being here. And we're just trying to do the damn thing, trying to get people to understand each other, trying to get people to talk and be able to discuss the things that matter. So if it's your first time here, welcome.
Are you?
Some people are.
Are you a materialist? Would you call yourself like a physicalist? Do you believe in, like, philosophically, just a world that is the material world and that's all there is? Or do you believe in, like, a spiritual realm?
When you talk about matter, material,
Mm-hmm.
I think when you talk about matter, they say there's four states of matter that we've identified so far: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And I was reading about plasmon, M-O-N, plasmon. And
plasmon. I don't think I've ever heard of plasmon. What is plasmon? In physics, plasmon. In physics, plasmon is a quantum of plasma oscillation. Just as light, an optical oscillation, consists of photons.
It's like these plasma in plasma clouds in nature. In the very center, there's these surface plasmon, and it looks like photons, which aren't considered material. They're not matter, but photons, which they probably are. Material. We just don't identify them. They bounce off of the plasmon and cause it.
I'll play some music for you. Test, test, test. Is that any better? Would you like fries with that? All right, hold on. Struggle stream. The struggle stream is in effect. I'm gonna play the video.
It to react. So it's like light is interacting with matter in these.
Testing. I can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Oh, we good. All right. Amanda with the fix. There we go. Thank you. No volume now? Jesus fucking Christ. Come on, bruh. It's still quiet? I don't know how to like turn up settings, audio. Test. No, that's still quiet. Okay, we good? All right, we back in. All right, thank you for sticking with me. Let's get back into it. Did we miss anything? Good. Fix. Guamtex said, gotta step out and hang with the wife and baby. Thank you so much for hanging out. What is this over here? Oh, Cerberus with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can get Morty over here for his birthday treat. Morty, here, I got more peanut. Yeah, come here. Look, good boy. Come on, there he is. Come on, we're all waiting for you. Morty. That is Morty. Happy 14th birthday. Thank you so much, Cerberus. Very much appreciated. Let me add you to the banner as we get. All right, so I'm gonna back this up a little bit.
Standards when maybe vocabulary is not currently equipped to truly understand, or when maybe never will be. But I think that there's things I don't understand that wouldn't be classified as matter, but that all understanding is material in nature. I suppose.
Mm-hmm. I think there's almost like when people talk about like materialism.
Here we go.
Versus
Shout out. Oh. Shout out again to our current sponsors. Not only servers for donating 5 or gifted 5 memberships, but of course, Unwanted Foe. Thank you guys. I very much appreciate that. There you go.
Like I guess I understand like the concept, but in my mind, I feel like it's kind of like a false dichotomy, because I think, if you believe,
we all remember what that means, right? False dichotomy, when you're saying it's either A or B when there may be a C.
Even like that there is a mind, there is a spirit, there is some sort of etherical thing that kind of controls you or dictates your life. I think that is, I think that thing is matter. That thing exists in physical reality, and physical reality has to accommodate that if it exists. It's just that we don't scientifically understand it, so we kind of create the separation that maybe doesn't really exist.
Yeah, there's the cosmic microwave background radiation. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a picture of it, but they lately in the last.
Are you guys put one in the chat if you are not familiar with what he's talking about, the cosmic background radiation, because that's definitely something everybody should see just to look at it. And the point that he's about to make is relatively important, that you know what he's talking about.
Last 10, 20 years, I've identified it with radio telescopes, and it's this web of radiation left over after the Big Bang, and it looks like a neural pathway, like it looks like a brain, a bunch of neurons. And I mean, that to me, this undulating neural force of radiation, it's universal. I mean, at some point, I'm like, is that God? Or is that like one way to look at God?
So this is what he's talking about. The cosmic background radiation is all the the radiation signal from the Big Bang itself. And when you look at that, and then you look at a brain, then there's similarities in how it works. And then when you look at like a synapse, and then when you look at a smaller level where you look at a galaxy, you're gonna find the same similar types of shapes. And there you go. I'll beat you to it. That is what is meant by cosmic background radiation, cosmic microwave background radiation. And so this is a picture of the universe at the moment of the Big Bang. I'm pretty sure, right? The moment of the Big Bang or right after the Big Bang? Hold on. Let me double check that. I won't be stupid. Microwave. It's either like right there or yeah, it's the cool remnant of the first light that could be used ever travel freely through the universe. And so this is what he is when Ian is saying like, oh, this is what I see as God. Obviously, those of you who know that I am a raging atheist, despite the fact that I have high value in Christian values, that I don't like that, because now you're obfuscating the issue of what does God mean? What is God? Is a God a who? Is God connected to morality? All of these things. If you're not talking about the same God as somebody else, then it gets confusing, and nobody's talking about the same God. I say to Christians this Sunday when you go to church, because you're going to church, right? Think to yourself, okay, how do I define God? And just have that in your mind. And turn to the person to your left and say, how do you define God? They're going to give you a different answer. Then you turn to your right, ask the same question, and you're going to get a third answer. And you go round and around and around and around and around. You might get some overlapping ideas, but you will not get an identical answer from anyone in your own church, much less outside. Nick says, at this rate, Morty is going to be so fat, he will roll over the house. Just watch the stairs, doggy. He's pretty good. So he doesn't have a feeding time, but mainly because I got him when I was in college and I was irresponsible. So I just left food out. And luckily he was responsible enough to be able to deal with that. So he's just got food out. So if he's eating now, he's just going to not eat as much later. He's pretty chill like that. It works out.
Right.
And it's arcing through planetoids. Like you can see it like hitting these like hot spots where there's galaxies, and then like arcing through it and like animating things. And your heartbeat. I mean, this energy is every moment it's like going through you and shocking your heart to continue.
Mm-hmm.
I want to point out how animated he gets when he's talking about this stuff. And this is what I would say, and I feel like he would agree, that he seems to have a spiritual fulfillment from this, and that he has that feeling of awe that a Christian might get when praying or when singing hymns or something like that. And I just want to point out that feeling can and absolutely does exist for Christians, Muslims, atheists, anyone else outside of religion. It is possible. So if just in case you thought that because the only time you've ever felt that was when you were in church or when you were praying, just know that it's not necessary. I'm not saying it's bad, but don't tell me that I can't know what it is to be part of something bigger than myself. Not that any of you are, but talk to an atheist. That is what we get all goddamn day.
So we don't quite call it matter. People say it's like ethereal, but with the right tools, we might be able to identify it as a type of matter.
Do you believe that there's anything supernatural? You mentioned God, but it seems like you're talking about God as kind of a concept, not really like the traditional notion of God outside of time and space.
So why use the word God when so many people are going to think that you're talking about the person or entity or energy that they believe in, that they call God? Are you stuck? Oh my God. Oh my god. His head was stuck. Oh my god. I'm sorry if nobody else found that funny. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was always agnostic growing up. Never really, it's like prove it or don't bother me with it.
Right.
Based. Prove it or don't bother me with it. Based. Yeah, and I mean just that's why. That's why I don't think it is useful to just automatically make this shortcut between good, moral, and Christian and God and all that stuff. It convolutes the conversation so much. Yeah. The space dog over there, he's trying to flee this hellhole. What you mean? He lives like a goddamn king in here. He's better than I do. We got that one already. Nick said, I think Christians have the same morality we do, not the other way around. Based. They only think they hold a monopoly on morals. No offense to anyone. Well, if you take offense, I still disagree. Shout out to the comment of the night. The comment of the night. Thank you. Well said, sir. Out sponsoring himself, Unwanted Foe, with the $2 super chat. $2 super chat. That's it. Free Morty. Look at it. He's already ready. Yeah, there you go. Good job. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciated.
That's materialism right there.
Yeah. So seeing the cosmic microwave background radiation, I'm like, okay, this is evidence that there's a God.
Is it though? You see what I mean? You're saying, oh, here's this science, and I don't understand it, and it makes me feel a certain way. Therefore, God. That's not how logic works, sir. I understand that you're not trying to prove the existence of Yahweh or a specific God, but this is the problem with trying to concede ground when you don't believe you don't believe that. You don't believe in a God. You believe in something else that you're calling God. And all the other people who also believe in a thing that's not actually God, but are calling it a God. You all are believing different things, but you feel like you're believing together, and that it's something unique. When, I mean, it's unique, but just the fact that it's in your own mind.
This is for sure. And my subconscious talking to me, like that's evidence that something is going on.
Yeah, exactly, Melty. So background radiation equals God.
What?
Like, come on.
I do believe that it is there to be discovered. I don't think that it's like we'll never know, and so don't even try. I think that we're learning what God was, microscopes, like we learned what cells were all of a sudden. Then we saw subatomic, we see the atom and the electron, and they look like planets, like quark. Sun and planets orbiting around. And then you go even smaller, and you see these subatomic spinners, and like it's just motion, it is. And then I'm like reading the Bible or parts of the Bible, and it's like where it's like I am the truth, the way, the light. I think Jesus said that, or is quoted as saying, I am the truth, the way, and the light. And it's like, yeah.
How do you know that? Oh, you can't tell me? All right, fair enough. But then I just can't abide. Nick says, that was funny. Morty is trying to be your comic relief sidekick, and he is doing a fantastic job. And it's raining out. So, I mean, maybe it's the birthday. Maybe it's the fact that he's hopped up on peanut butter. But either way, he is finally coming back. I used to, for those of you who don't know, I used to have a chair right here, and he would just sit for the whole the whole stream. But he's terrified of thunder, and he's terrified of fireworks. So every summer when it comes around, once the sun goes down, he's just like, he goes into his chihuahua shake, like, oh, what's going to happen? There's loud noises. And he was never like that as a puppy. It just started randomly, maybe a few years ago. I'm like, bro, you've been alive for now 14 years, and no loud sound has ever led to anything bad happening to you. But sure, go ahead, be terrified.
God is the way things move.
Okay, fair claim. How do you know that?
It is the way. It's just an angular momentum in action.
Okay, fair enough. How do you know that?
All of this, what we think of as substance, is just angular momentum, at least from the subatomic perspective at this point.
True.
You know, we'll always go deeper.
Ian, do you have a favorite book or like a favorite idea?
Are you talking, Melty? Are you talking about Ian, or are you talking about Morty?
I think my favorite idea is consciousness. That's
Right.
my favorite
Okay,
topic.
interesting. Wow. Okay, look, go ahead, Sitch. You wanna
It
say something?
sounds like what you're saying is that you feel like the universe is an emergent property of God, or God's like will or consciousness. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, but what's causing it? That's what I want to know. Why is it moving the way it's moving? Is it?
I agree, Ian. I agree. I would like to know that as well. But as long as we continue to use religious dogmatic language, we will never know. We will never know, because by using dogmatic language, you are accepting that you already do know. So if you're saying you don't know, then how can you call it this thing that people say, oh, we know that this is? You know what I mean?
Is it just a gravitational well? Is it just magnetic force in action, the Casimir effect pushing bodies together, or
True. Yeah, Ian's always been soft. That's definitely why we like him. What about faith servers?
something sentient out there or in here moving it as it's moving? Like there's a theory we're inside of a black hole, and that's why space is black, because we're in the black hole looking out, and that everything inside of us is actually coming into our universe from outside. Like we're willing it into our space.
Hurrah!
This is the kind of stuff that when you're not this, but what Ian's talking about, with like these, it almost seems woo-woo, and some of it may be, but the notion that a lot of this is backed by science, in the sense that we don't know that this is, but based on what we know about science, it could be possible. And so, hi, Mort. No, you gotta wait. Oh, you want to come up here? Oh, you want to spend your birthday with me? Oh, thank you, Bubba. He doesn't always love me, and now he loves me, but I think that's because of you guys. Thank you for repairing the bonds between the dog. But yeah, I mean, it's this, when you open up your mind to, it doesn't have to be God, and it's just this, or it doesn't have to be Islam, whatever your religion is. Then you can borrow from all of these places. He's talking about things in the Bible, but he's also talking about the awe, like AWE, the awe that he feels when thinking about the vastness of space, as well as the vastness of how small their things actually are, with the atoms and the subatomic particles and all that stuff. It's beautiful, and it can give you that feeling of awe.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't heard the black hole thing. But
It's awesome. Yeah, someone told me about it at Christmas like 6 years ago or something, and it's been on my mind ever since.
Do you know about they call it the hard problem of consciousness, how they go from the materialist realm to what creates consciousness? Obviously, there are a lot of people studying the brain and trying to figure out how the brain works as a neural network, but they haven't been able to figure out how what we understand about the brain.
Where does consciousness come from? So let's go back over here to our poll. Would you become a roboticus? We've got 30, 70% saying no. I'm pleasantly, am I surprised? I don't know if I'm surprised. I think it, wait, yo, what? It says, look at this. It says 69%. It says 69 and 30. It's 10 votes. What? How does it say 69? Weird. Oh, I'm messing up. Hold on. What was I gonna ask? The about consciousness. Oh, god damn it. I always do this. I start talking, and then 69. Let me replay this and see where the hell I was.
Trying to figure out how the brain works as a neural network, but they haven't been able to figure out how what we understand about the brain turns into our conscious experience. It's like one of the hardest problems in science right now.
It seems like I don't know a lot about what you call the hard problem.
It's called the hard problem of consciousness. Yeah, it's funny because this is why I was like, I wasn't really going to talk about this, but it's. I sent you a book by Donald Hoffman called The Case Against Reality. So Donald Hoffman has this idea. It's called user interface theory, and he says evolution basically designed us to simplify the world. And organisms that see a simpler version of the world will have a survival and reproductive advantage over organisms that see a more complicated view of the world. So his argument is that the world that we see and perceive as human beings is really just kind of a user interface, like a VR headset. And what we've been studying with science and space-time and all that stuff is literally just the VR headset. And we haven't even really looked down inside the computer that's driving the VR headset.
I think a
hold
slightly
on
better.
just one second. Sid.
Okay.
So he's proposed, he's basically said the reason we haven't been able to solve this hard problem of consciousness is because we're looking at the wrong thing. We're looking at the VR headset and not at the underlying reality that serves the VR headset. So he's proposed this crazy hypothesis that the world is really various forms of consciousness interacting with one another. And it's just, it's like completely mind blowing. So he's basically, he's trying to turn this hypothesis into a mathematical thing that will output things like space-time. And I mean, it's crazy. The guy is talking to people at like CERN laboratory. I guess in the particle physicist world, they've discovered these structures that literally exist outside of space and time. Like time does not apply to them.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
so they've contacted him to say, oh, maybe this is some evidence of your theory.
That's crazy.
It's
That's
just
crazy.
completely bonkers. Yeah.
Just to make his theory a little bit more.
Really quickly, guys, I'm just going to ask if we can get 2 more likes. I would be so happy. Thank you.
Clear to people listening, because it is kind of like hard to wrap.
Oh,
their
yeah,
brain
yeah.
around.
Go ahead. Simplify
I think
it for
I think a
us.
slightly better way to kind of analogize it is it's like he's saying that basically the way we perceive reality is like desktop, is like the icons on your desktop. And so like we're experimenting by like dragging the desktop items into your trash bin or copy pasting them or whatever. And we think that is like how
that's reality.
Reality is how like the little menus and the displays that you visually see on your computer work. Except we know that's not how it works. We know that beneath this visual display, there's all this ones and zeros and coding. And he's saying that we need to get at the ones and the zeros beneath whatever we're perceiving.
Whoa. So yeah, there absolutely is a difference of degree as to what's behind all of this stuff that you're watching right now. All boils down to zeros and ones, but so does the AI. I mean, right? Like it still works on a binary language like that, but it's so much deeper. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Molly said Ian has not blinked for 4 minutes. Hey, he's an intense guy, and like I wanted to said, yeah, he's an intense guy. He's an android or a bot. Oh no, this is supposed to be a Love Ian stream. Rolling 20s. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and your brain. I think that your whole perceiver. Your stomach, your heart, your brain, these neural pathways and stuff are like
your neural pathways are connected, guys. We're all getting mind melted media. That's why I always at first whenever Melted Mind Media would say something, I always think what crap. It's a movie. It's from I can't place it, but it's like, okay, we're mind melt. And so I always go to mind melt and then Melted Mind Media. So that's you.
Radio signal like that can be tweaked. So like the data, the ones and zeros that are spinning, all this subatomic momentum or whatever that's causing the data to erupt as perception, can be perceived in different ways depending on your mood. Like your radio tuner, like whether or not you're tuned into understanding what the hell someone's saying depends on what you ate earlier or how you feel, or if you're paying attention because of what you ate. Whether or not you're hearing God clearly is like, are you distracted? Like, is your mind clouded? Are you getting static because you're not quite there on the right frequency because you don't have the right posture? So like we're tuning our mechanisms to perceive it, reality as it is, but like, and that doesn't mean that it has to be the way we think it is every time. Like it's obviously your perception is fallible or at least is tweakable.
And what does that mean? If your perception is fallible or at least tweakable, that means you cannot be what? Say it with me, guys. Dogmatic. Dogmatic thinking is one of the worst things that you could ever do. Assuming that what you know is unquestionably correct. Whether it's there's a man in the sky, or that a man can transform into a female, or anything in between. Question everything.
Yeah, and
I think-
constantly, yeah.
I'll continue to.
I was gonna say, and constantly changing. And, you know, I don't think people generally give enough credit to the fact that how much of our moods and how much of these like biochemical reactions in our brain control our behavior. You know, when someone tells you something and you react, you think, this is my reaction. I was like, well, maybe it's not your reaction. Maybe it's your angry reaction or your sad reaction or your hungry reaction.
Yes.
Do you
When
have
people
a-
like, I'm so fill in the blank, like, well, you're more than you. You know, you're 100 trillion particles deciding what you think. Sorry, Adam.
Well, no, do you have a take on free will? Because we are kind of like drifting into that.
Ooh, so those of you here who were here yesterday, I specifically asked Peter Boghossian on his take on free will. For those of you who are not super familiar with philosophy, there basically are two main ideas when it comes to free will. That more of the Sam Harris camp, where that if we believe in the Big Bang, then everything after that has to be a chemical or physical reaction, and therefore the notion that you can choose anything is nonsensical. Or you could go into Peter Boghossian's favorite philosopher or favorite living philosopher's perception of dualism, where as long as you feel free, we can call that free will. And so whatever you want to do that is not being impeded by an outside force, we can call free will. But I am of the former. I do not believe that free will exists. So let's see what Ian thinks about free will. And we are coming up on the 2.5-hour mark. If you'd like to keep going, you know how to keep the party raging.
Is
Yeah.
it just our bodies driving us, or do we have any sort of free will?
Yeah, I think we do. I think there's such a thing as destiny, in that we are in tune with the vibration of reality. We are.
I love how it capitalized Destiny because he's all over the platform. Sorry, I interrupted him. What do you say?
I think there's such a thing as destiny, in that we are in tune with the vibration of reality. We are part of it. We are actually literally spinning particles that are forming, causing matter to coagulate in the form that we know as a human body. And it's constant. But and you're like bound with God or with this superstructure, like to be part of this system. And when you're in the flow state, you know, like you're part of it's like Tim Ballard, for instance, when he's saying he goes into the jungle to rescue children. This is a guy from Sound of Freedom.
I was gonna say, if you're not familiar, Tim Ballard is the guy from Sound of Freedom.
They made the movie about.
Uh-huh.
And it's like no fear when he's in there.
Dan, I am counting on you right now.
It's like everything it takes over. And then when he gets out, that's when he starts to feel these emotions again, because he's part of this system. But you have free will to get out, to bend out of it, to bend away from the natural pole of I don't like overusing the word God. It's just such a simple term for.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that to no end. I don't think you guys understand how big of a statement that is. Oh my God, that is amazing. I love that he's even thinking that way, because somebody like Ian is not going to have a problem with using religious language, because he doesn't see a problem with religion in and of itself, which, you know, to each their own. But for him to say, I don't like using the word God because it's such a simple term, beautiful. Let's hear it one more again.
Bend out of it, to bend away from the natural pole of I don't like overusing the word God.
Oh, wait, before we go there, Dan, you let me down. Melty said this, and I thought you were going to follow up with your joke about faith. Would have been perfect, man. You missed it. All right, take 3.
System, but you have free will to get out, to bend out of it, to bend away from the natural pole of I don't like overusing the word God. It's just such a simple term for. There's so many ways to describe what is happening, and there's so many different levels to look at it from. Like,
so instead of being lazy and just using the easy word, the catch-all word, maybe you should take a little bit more time. And I'm not specifically talking to Ian, because I know he does think about this stuff a lot. I'm talking in general, that maybe it is worth taking the time to what are those different levels? What are those differences? And let's talk about those differences. Let's come up with words for those differences, so that when we speak, we can not only be authentic, but we can be concise. I can't overstate the importance of being concise. People need to understand what it is that you mean. Words have meanings. Words have meanings. And you could make words up. Look at all what the translators are doing. They're doing it in a bad way, but it would certainly help us on this side of wanting to be spiritual and live a valued life, where not a value, but live by values that you might call Christian or you might call something else for this very moment, not hugely important, but those values that we all appreciate. If we're going to live like that, and not all of us believe in the same thing, we all arrived at the same place. These are the values, but I came from this way and you came from that way. It doesn't matter. Why are we fighting over how we got to the same place if we are on the same place?
You can go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, or bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're still gonna
That's what she
get
said.
a look at it. So, but it's like we are part of this force, this momentive force, and that we have free will to kind of bend it. And sometimes that's bad. Like sometimes you want to allow yourself to be pulled towards what you are naturally without overriding it with your emotions and your thoughts. But sometimes I think being human, it's very important to use your free will to change the direction. And even that, I don't want to make this claim necessarily, but that God wants you to do that. It wants you to use your free will to create a better structured system to.
Okay, how do you know that?
More coherently allow flow.
Yeah.
The system.
Why are you saying, yeah, Adam? You have no idea what he just said. Nobody does. He does, but nobody else can know because all he's using is vague terms. And I'm not blaming him for the words not being available at this moment, but we have to try. We have to have the goal that we end up in a place where we can talk about what people believe without just saying, yeah, I believe in God. I believe God is like a energy. It's like a thing that kind of like it allows flow.
What? Yeah.
Do you have, is there anything that you think that you believe that you would classify as a conspiracy? Is there anything that like conspiracies that people call conspiracies that you personally buy into?
Yeah,
before we get there, Melted Mind Media, or M3, or Melted Mind said, people think if they found out where we came from, it will show us where we go after dying. Bars, exactly. I think that is a lot of the logic that feeling. It's definitely based on a discomfort with not knowing. You have to be comfortable with not knowing things because there is no way that you're gonna be able to know everything. And not accepting that and trying to just shove in beliefs where you need knowledge is going to lead you astray. And it's humility. Just understanding, hey, I don't know everything. Just because I believe, even if you are a Christian, just because I believe in the Bible, just because I believe that doesn't mean that I know everything. And to your credit, a lot of you are very much like that. But unfortunately, a lot of people who don the same group as you, similar to the atheists that I very much disagree with, they fucking up. So it's up to us to do better. That's where I'm at. Dan says, I think I need to attend more streams without alcohol. Hell no. Okay, well, it's a personal goal then. Yeah. But, I mean, do whatever's right for you. But, I always got my mug. As soon as they want to pay me, I'll tell you what's in here. But it may or may not be alcohol.
The Twin Towers on 9/11 falling in near free fall speed.
Okay.
I've listened to architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, which are like 1,800 different architects and engineers around Earth that independently came together to kind of diagnose the day 9/11 2001 right. September, and they're saying, okay, well, these buildings fall in near free fall speed. They watch the physics and they're like, that indicates a controlled demolition. That means the supports are blown out.
It's definitely not Bud Light
because there was no structure underneath the fall. Otherwise you'd see these pancake, you'd see like resistive force. So that I'm like, okay, I trust science. I trust you. Show me the proof, I'll take a listen. You show me the evidence, I'll look into it.
Same. So all the stuff you just said about God, give me the evidence and I'll take a look.
And this is, to me, is like scientific proof that those fell in free fall.
Okay.
Based.
Which is evident that the supports were blown out, which means that someone blew the supports out. I don't know who, and I would never make that claim, but that indicates to me that the supports of those buildings were blown out. And then I research it further and find nanothermite in the dust particles around the destruction.
Jet fuel does not melt steel.
I worked at Ground Zero in October of 2001
Did
for
you
like
really?
2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked across the street from the pile in the Amex building, the American Express building, with the windows had been blown out, all in the building, like explosive force had blown the windows out. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. But now learning that there was nanothermite.
What is nanothermite?
It's a
nanothermite. How do you not know what? Okay, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it is the stuff that they use to melt the steel beams. And again, guys, just let you know, we are coming up on the 2.5-hour mark. I would love to keep partying with you here, but you know how to keep the party going.
Military grade incendiary used to decommission vehicles, tanks, and stuff in the field. So like when the troops are in a tank and they're like in enemy territory and they're like, we can't leave it, we got to get out of here, but we can't leave the tank for the enemies. Melt it with nanothermite. It melts steel.
Okay.
So they line the tank with nanothermite. It melts the steel and totally incapacitates and destroys the tank.
Wow.
So steel, the beams of the trade centers were made out of steel.
What happened?
Not only made of steel, but specifically made in every single way to avoid exactly what happened. That if something like that were to cause structural damage, that it would not take down the whole the whole building and the one next to it and building 7.
What happens if you take a bite of that nanothermite?
Imagine it would melt and blow your head off. Thermite is explosive. No. Nanothermite's incendiary. And I don't want to talk too much about the science of it because I'm not a scientist and I don't know exactly. But
I wouldn't risk it. I mean, I wouldn't take a bite. It sounds like you wouldn't even be able to because the spoon would just melt.
Yeah, it'd probably melt your head. You'd probably melt your.
Was that his attempt at a joke? Oh, probably melt the spoon
body into a state of free. I'm just kidding. So when I learned about the thermite, I'm like, okay, well, that's probably how the beams were cut, is with nanothermite, and it just all makes sense. It all makes sense. Like they fell straight down, and then World Trade Center Tower 7 came down later in the day. Nothing hit it. It just came down in near free fall. So they call it a conspiracy theory, but I don't know. It just looks completely obvious to me.
Okay.
Well, either way you look at it, it is a conspiracy. This is the I forget who presented this to me. I'm parroting somebody else, so don't give me credit for this. But you just ask, if somebody talks about conspiracy theories, especially if you're not talking about 9/11, then like let's say you're just talking about the moon landing, you're talking about JFK, you're talking about COVID, whatever, and they're like, oh, that's conspiracy, that's a conspiracy, that's a conspiracy, and they're using it as to mean conspiracy equaling that's wrong. Just ask them, do you believe that 9/11 happened? Like, what do you mean? Like on 9/11, do you believe that planes hit the World Trade Center and they came down and people died? Or do you believe that happened? They're obviously going to say yes. It's like, okay, so then you believe in conspiracies. Because either you believe something along the lines of 19 Muslims hijacked planes and attacked our country, or you believe that somebody else coordinated that. Either way, it is a conspiracy. A conspiracy is just that, which people conspire to do. Melton My Media asks, is religion a conspiracy theory? Yes. I think so. I think it started as a way to explain the world for people who did not have the scientific understanding that we did. And then as we started to understand the universe better and religion was no longer necessary, which it is not, then it turned into a way to control people, especially, with, and my Christian history is not on point, but I believe it was Martin Luther who translated the Bible and like nailed it to the thing. And before that, it was only the priests and pastors. Again, if I'm using the wrong words, I apologize. It was only the head guy that could read from the Bible, because it would only be in Latin, and nobody spoke Latin. So this and there was such a big push against translating the Bible into a book that everybody could read, you have to wonder, why? Did they know, perhaps? Did they know that if everybody can read this book, that there'll be people like me who grew up in the Catholic Church, who got went through all the sacraments, got confirmed in the Methodist Church. So from different angles, I'm reading this thing, I'm in it, I'm in the community, and not for a second would I even entertain the idea that God wouldn't exist or that Christianity isn't true or it's not the right way. At that time, I hadn't read the Bible because I just believed. So I, at the end of the day, I would say absolutely yes. Religion is a conspiracy theory. Melty goes on to say, when your text is in a dead language, it's a dead religion. Well said. Well said. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. Definitely go check out the rest of that conversation. It was very interesting from what I heard. You guys know I like to have the fresh reactions if I can. So I'll just skip through it to make sure it is enjoyable to you. If you are new here, welcome to the party. Thank you so much for hanging out. You have no idea what it means to me. I know that you could be doing anything else in the world, and you are here with me and with us and being part of the conversation. All of that stuff means so much to me. I cannot tell you. And I have to give a big shout out to the sponsor of the stream. We actually have two, but I can only pull up one. All right, we'll do this. We got the unwanted foe with this, the $5 and the $2 super chat. And then we had our boy Cerberus with gifting five memberships. Thank you so much, guys. I think Melty just dropped the link to the after party in our Discord server that I definitely think you should join. Like I said, 24/7, we are in there hanging out, having a good time. And after every stream, like right now, we are about to head over there for an after party where you're not stuck behind your keyboard, but you're actually on screen with me and everybody else. You can cam up if you want to, but it's not YouTube, so you don't have to. And it's also not YouTube, so you can say all the naughty words that you're not allowed to say on YouTube. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I know you guys don't like when I get mushy with you, but the fact that you guys are spending so much time with me and that, you know, it is a bit of a special day with Morty's birthday. And you know, you just coming through for me, guys. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. If you're new, if you have not hit the like button, please do that. If you've not hit the subscribe button, please do that. It does so much to help. And if you want to really help, that share button is the biggest thing that you could do for me. Just hit that and throw it wherever. I don't care. Facebook, Twitter, or X, or another YouTuber. I don't know. Whatever. Sharing is the biggest thing that you could do. Besides directly giving me money. Shout out to, one more time, to Unwanted Foe and to Cerberus and to everybody who ever parts with their hard-earned money. Guys, you are so awesome. And I can't say it enough. So thank you. Thank you again. I really do appreciate you guys. Don't forget, I drop new videos every single day, and we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, guys, me and Morty say happy birthday one more time. We are out of here. Peace.